Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the show. It's episode 520 of the show. I'm your host, Andrew.
Hey guys, I'm Danny.
And this is your source for tech, gaming, and entertainment news, even though we've been away for 26 days. Happy New Year.
Was it had to be more than 26 days?
Has it? Yeah,
It had to
maybe
be.
a
It was
little
like
bit,
what? Just before Thanksgiving?
a
No.
little bit over that. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So, heartbreaking news, gut punching news at the very top of the morning. I mean, I didn't find out about this until I actually got back to, until I got back home that Kobe Bryant passed away.
That's huge. Like I don't even pay
Yeah,
attention to sports like that. I know that's just crazy.
that is insane. That is absolutely insane. And I mean, I grew up watching him and all that, trying to mimic his moves. You know, it was between Michael Jordan and some other players, obviously, but I mean, Kobe was like right there in terms of major impact. So to see the news come through like that he passed away, I was just floored. So
It's one of those things where you hear about it like before you read an article or anything official, like you see somebody say like, "Oh, you got to be kidding me. That's not
yeah, I mean
real."
that's yeah. So we all went through that a little bit. Um if the news is real or not and all that. It's like unbelievable. Unbelievable that that took place. But I mean the other side of it too is the last tweet that he posted was congratulating LeBron James on his points, achievement that he passed Kobe, and he's like third or yeah, I think he's like third on the list or something like that for all time points. And his last tweet was pretty much congratulating LeBron for, passing him, right? So it's
Mhm.
interesting because as I was thinking about it a little bit, I'm like, all right, like with social media and how people are on social media at times, what people decide to say or share or clap back and all that stuff. Like, I would not want my last tweet to be something like really like hurtful. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like to somebody. So it's like it's a fine line. How life is super fragile, and I think we forget that sometimes.
Like oh my goodness. I don't even know what to say about that. You're right. It's like pretty much you really never know when it's your time. Never. Like death is one of the things that is just absolutely certain, but you don't know when you're going to go. So like you're saying like you don't want your last tweet or your last memory or the last thing you did to be something that was spiteful, that was done out of anger, that was frustrating. Like you want to be remembered in good light. So just you can only really kind of guarantee that by living your life as a good person, not holding that stuff in and just like realizing what's important.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So rest in peace, Kobe and family. I believe the recent reports are confirming that his daughter, Gianna, also known as Gigi, to the family, that she was on the helicopter as well. I think that's what some of the reports are saying. So, condolences to the entire family and every member who was involved in the actual helicopter crash near Calabasas in California. So yeah, so that's what we got on that. Aside from that, we have a couple of things we want to cover. Definitely want to catch up. So losses happen. I guess even for my family, I've seen at least two caskets over the holidays, and I was supposed to be at another homegoing thing on the this past Saturday. Thank you for following Pinky 760. Appreciate that. So I was supposed to be at another funeral thing on Saturday. I was like, no, I can't. That's like two over the holiday. At third, I was like, no, I'm good. So we do have some news we want to catch up on. I guess a little life stuff, and as well as some of the news that caught our attention over the past 2-3 weeks. definitely want to wish you guys happy new year, and all the things that you want to achieve and create and document with the world. I hope you guys are doing that, or at least journaling to do that. Write it down to make the vision plain and move forward with it. So, Daniela, what you been up to?
Work and adulting, and it's miserable. It pays my bills, so I can't be that mad.
Right.
But it's like it's that constant struggle between balance and trying to just maintain your sanity, because like it took a while for me to realize, like, all last year I was happy, but I was also really depressed. And I think it took me a while to kind of just accept that. Like, I always just felt like, oh no, it's just because of this. And when once we get past this, I'll feel better. And it never happened. And then something else would happen. It's like, once I get past that, maybe it's just that. I'll feel better. And it was just kind of me in denial. And it came to just like this ultimate, like, just one day I just like broke down. I'm like, no, this isn't right. This isn't healthy, and trying to reevaluate. And that's kind of what I did over the holiday season, which is kind of a terrible time to do it, because you're supposed to be spending time with your family, being
Right.
happy, celebrating, loving their company. And I was a little bit of a hermit. I went out and saw family as I needed to, because I wanted to focus more on me. And I had this is so weird. I had this crazy dream the other night, and I won't go into details about the full dream, but pretty much at the beginning of my dream, just like I was doing the things I loved. I was actually this I was actually this host, and I was hosting at TwitchCon this year. I don't know if that's ever going to happen, but um I was just doing guest interviews with the bigger streamers. I was doing it with the uh, developers that were there to talk about their stuff, and it was just like all in the live stage, which is there right on the showroom floor. Um, and which was really crazy, because I'm not a fan of Ninja. I don't hate Ninja, but I'm not like an active, like, I sub to him, I watch all of his streams, I pay attention to every single little thing he does kind of fan of Ninja. But he was there as my co-host, like my co-host. That's weird and crazy, but anyways, it went through this whole thing, and it was like one of the best dreams I've had in a really long time, because I was actually just doing something I love. Which, in to generalize it, I love public speaking. I love that adrenaline rush of just being able to talk in front of a huge audience about talking about something I'm passionate about, or talking about the company that I'm working with. That obviously I wouldn't work with a company that I don't care for, but I'd be there. And hey, well, welcome, Elmo. You never know. Positive vibes bring positive results. EJ hosting TwitchCon 2020. I have to put in some
Absolutely.
work and pay my dues to get to that level, but yes, definitely positive vibes. But I remember in my dream, the way that my dream ended was basically me saying the world is going to hate us for this. And I thought it was such a weird way. That was literally how my dream ended, because we were about to go live, and you had like the camera assistant that was counting down, and she's like at three, two, and like before she even said one, that's what I said to myself when I woke up. And it was like sitting in my head for such a long
Hmm.
time, about what that, like why does that message sit with me, and like why do I keep thinking about it? And it's like the only thing that was like repeating in my head for like the days after that. And I think I kind of like somewhat realized that for the last couple of years, I've been kind of like carving what I did, or deciding on what I did based off of, well, will so and so like me? Will that person like me? Will they like me? And I never stopped to think, is it something I'm gonna like? Is it something that I'm gonna be happy with? Like, I would never do something that makes me miserable, but I also wasn't considering, like, what did it actually mean to my overall happiness. I was putting everybody else ahead of me before myself. And it got to the point where I was just, no, I don't want that. Like, I
Why were
of
you doing
course,
that?
I don't know, because I don't think I'm a people pleaser. I don't think I try to. Like, I obviously I put my family ahead of me. I'm always going to do that. But I was putting the consideration of people that weren't nearly as important, or they're just acquaintances. And I was just concerned about, like, what are they going to think about me? And I've never done that before because like I've always done things that make me happy regardless of what anybody else did. But then I don't know where, I don't know when, but I stopped doing that. And suddenly those other opinions or thoughts were suddenly really important, more important than, doing something that I enjoy. And I think that was like the start of just me being absolutely miserable last year. Because like I would start working on a project and then like somebody would hear about it and they would make a comment and it got into my head. I was like, "Oh my gosh, what if they're right? What if it doesn't have like the outcome that I want it to be, or maybe I'm just not that good at this." Like I was just getting in my head about this stuff. So I would change it. I would change it and then put it out and then it would be fine. It would be great and nobody complained. And I'm like, okay, that's what it should be. But it wasn't something that I envisioned.
Hmm.
So I'm like, all right, this year, no, no. Let the world hate me if they don't like me. I like it.
Yeah, that's why association is like so critical, right? So you see certain individuals hang out with certain individuals because singers hang out with singers, right? Certain streamers hang out with certain streamers and certain content creators, et cetera, et cetera. So you see a pattern of behavior there, and they're always, hopefully that's the case, they're always pushing each other to, move forward to the next level, right? And I think individuals who are not necessarily succeeding in any way, shape, or form, whether that's their streaming stuff or content creation stuff, they will tell the individuals who are succeeding that they have the wrong perspective and their drive towards succeeding is a bad thing. And typically, the way they do that is by making people feel bad of whatever success that they're currently having on a platform. Let's say, the person just broke um, um, you know, subscriber numbers on YouTube or something like that, where now that they can monetize their YouTube channel or they have a certain amount of subscribers on Twitch and it's a steady flow versus someone who's not seeing that level of success. And it could be very, very, it could be a negative experience, especially if you're hanging around individuals who feel like being monetized on a particular platform is a bad thing. So the last thing I want to do is hang out with anybody who, because they're failing in a particular area, that doesn't mean that I have to hang out with them. There's only so much that we can take, right? As the human mind, after a while, begin to believe that it's not okay to succeed on these platforms. So if it isn't okay, why are we on there then, right? Because some people are there just to have just gaming experiences. It's chill time for them. It's disconnecting for some, but for some they really want to make a business out of it. So you can't discredit or bring the person down that's trying to do that, which is why association is so critical, right? And it could really mess somebody up who's really trying to do it for the right reasons. But if the audience believe that they're getting value from you, then there's nothing that you really can do about that because the market decides if you're providing value. And if you are, they'll come back. So, yeah, association is critical. I had to, I don't think I burned bridges last year. I think my honesty just turns people off. And I'm okay with that. Not all the time, though, right? But I have to be okay with that because I can't compromise who I am because you feel some kind of way about something. So um, I'm I'm proud of you that you're, you know, seeing that. I've always pushed you to do more. Um, I've gotten some pushback, but that's the beauty of our relationship, and I think that you're not really maximizing what you can do, even right now. I think you're still holding back a little bit. I don't know why, but but you are.
Yeah, I can agree to that one because I don't even
That's
know
fair.
why. No, but you're
Yeah.
right though. I am, and I don't know why. And I think it's a more of a psychological thing that I have to work through to figure out. Um, because that's true. Elmo says tall poppy syndrome, and I never heard of that before. I had to actually
Hmm.
Wikipedia it up right there or Google it. Tall
Okay.
poppy syndrome describes aspects of a culture where people of high status are resented, attacked, cut down, strung up, or criticized because they have been classified as superior to their peers.
Mm-hmm.
I've never heard of that before.
That's interesting.
That is interesting though, because part of that last year was I guess you can also put that as jealousy, pretty much. Um, when I was invited to speak at TwitchCon for Spawn on Me, and they had their whole show. I was ecstatic. I was cloud nine. And then you have people who was like, "Oh, congratulations! But how did you get that?
Hmm.
Oh, congratulations! Um, what did you do to be with them? And it's just like I I didn't have a solid answer. Like,
Hmm.
be, because
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and at first it didn't bother me, but when you hear it like a whole lot, you're like, what did I do? Like, why? But you don't want to ask that question. I'm not going to ask that question because then you're just getting more
All right,
into
so
it.
let's work with it. Let's work with it a little bit. What do you think you did?
I have no idea. Be
Okay. Let's explore it a little
be
bit.
a good person.
Um,
Feel
okay.
like be a good person. Well, okay, that's really
Right.
super genetic or generic.
Kindness
Um
helps, right?
yeah,
Um,
kindness always helps, but then it's like obviously people like Paris, like Khalif, they they have been in the game for so long
right.
that they obviously just know how to weed out the people they want to be associated with.
Right. Exactly.
And um I feel good that I got to be in that little inner circle that I'm like, okay, I whatever it may be, I don't care what it may be, I feel good that I'm at the level where I can be in your circle. And I was
Right.
okay with that. And the only way that I feel that I could ever possibly be on that level um was pretty much not being a jerk and
Hmm.
being honest to who I was and what I wanted and how I wanted to be seen.
Right. So there's one common theme with that circle, right? The people that you mentioned.
Yeah.
Um, and that common theme is a low tolerance for BS.
Hmm.
That's really what it is, right? Because as you said, those individuals combined, um, you have 30 years maybe of experience, add 10 for me, 15 plus for Paris, 15 plus for Danny, and whoever else, Khalif is 7 plus. So maybe, right?
Hmm.
A lot of trial and error that we ironed out over the years and stuff like that. And then I don't hang out with just anybody. So the fact that we're able to build a relationship that we built and we've been recording for so long, it's easy to say, well, if he's vouching for her, then I know she's good, right? So you have those relationships that are built. But aside from that, you've been streaming since what, the beginning of Twitch? It feels like, right? So,
2011. Yeah.
right. So you've had your own platform of growth even before we started, communicating and stuff like that. So there's a lot of things that we can look at over the years to say, as it is written in here, you did work and got what you deserved, right? And you were kind, you were nice to people, And the people that needed to get some fire from you that they deserved, they got what they deserved, and you kept the individuals that you needed to keep around you. And we have to do that. We're not punching bags. We're human too. Yeah, we're creating content and we're trying to provide value to individuals on these different platforms, but we're human too. And I think people forget that. I think they forget that.
They really do. And part of it, which I think is going to be the hardest part of me working through this for this year, is me separating myself from certain people. Because
You
I
want me to
kind
help
of
you with that?
no. No. I got it. I got to learn.
You sure?
I can't be sitting here with my training wheels.
You
And thank you to
sure?
Elmo. And Elmo says, in hindsight, the answer is you did work and got what you deserved off of your own back and
I
not
want to
coattails.
help. Can I help?
No.
Why not?
Cause I gotta do it for myself. I gotta learn. I gotta do these things. Not that I
Okay.
haven't cut out people before.
How many people? How many people are we talking? If you had to put a number to it.
At least 10.
At least 10.
At least
Okay.
10
Wow.
right now. And it's not because they're necessarily bad people.
Right.
I think it's more of our alignment of what we see as ideal situations and relationships and networking do not align.
Fair.
And I don't think they're bad people. I don't think anything ill of them. But it's not what I want. It's not what I want to be surrounded by.
Okay. Do I know any of them?
No. Maybe one, but then I think that's just one. And that started off around like Thanksgiving time where I just needed the space. And we'll be acquaintances. It's like if I see them at an event, I'm not going to just like completely ghost them and like I don't know them. Right. But in terms of being creative, in terms of work, they're just not going to be that person that I go to be like, "Hey, what do you think of this?" Or like, "Hey, you want to collaborate on that?" Like they're just not going to be that person. I'm not going to tell them like, "Hey, this is what I've been working on. Let's like catch up. I'd love to hear what you're doing." Just it's because it's just like creatively, work ethics, it just doesn't align. And I think I had too many of those types of people around me. And I don't want that.
Okay. How soon are we doing this? How
soon
I
started in like November.
Okay.
I started in November and
sweet.
And it's
Are they mad?
Yes.
Cool.
Yes. No matter how I approached it, it's never gonna come out good.
Do you care that they're mad?
I thought I was gonna be, but no. Okay. Like no, in the sense like, okay, well, they're just not going to talk to me anymore. The ones that haven't bothered me are the ones that I noticed that had little subtweets and I know it's directed at me. And I'm like, really? You're still going to be hung up on it that this is what you're going to be doing. Okay. You go and do that if that helps you cope, but I'm not going to respond to it. And then there's always like in my head, like I know there's probably people that are DMing them like, who are you talking about? What is it about? Right. And I know my name is in their mouth. So it's just like, okay, cool. Yeah. So I guess this segment of what I'm getting ready to say, I can make public because there's this segment of the public that may believe that I'm mean. And I think they're right to some degree. And I think it's because of so we put up barriers, right? We have our different barriers just to protect ourselves. But at the same time, after a while, I realized that those barriers aren't really barriers. They're just DNA, whether, you know, how I grew up and how I'm able to articulate my feelings, right? And sometimes if it's not seasoned with salt, then it seems like it's really mean and sinister in nature. But then, as I was sharing with you recently, is I think that that comes across because a lot of the individuals that we speak to on a regular basis
really don't know us personally, right?
No.
And I think it's kind of hard to gauge, well, how can this person have a great relationship with that person, but yet they seem like a inconsiderate prick online, right? And that could be partly true, but it depends on like who it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what that conversation is and how it's supposed to be received. But like I was saying before, there's just a low tolerance for BS, and I think that because of that, certain things can be interpreted incorrectly. But me having your back and helping you with your list doesn't necessarily mean that you can't do it. I just think it's fun. And that's the other side of me that can get really, really twisted.
Well, I
I
don't
want to
think
help.
it's fun because I know at some point I'm gonna hurt somebody's feelings and they're gonna be offended.
Woo!
And
I want to help.
and here's the thing, like I like in the process of this I was like, well, why are you still friends with so and so? Why do
Mm-hmm.
you still I'm like, well, because that's a different type of a relationship I have with this person. With you, it
Mm-hmm.
was strictly content creation and work. And
Mm-hmm.
and there was some slight friendship in there,
Mm-hmm.
but you know, like okay, so there's a community of friends that I have that's we have a group called the Redax, and they're an awesome group of guys, and they're all there like they're working on their own content creation, but they're also there to have fun, and whether it be by just like messing around and just being hard on each other, memes, whatever it may be, they're still an awesome group of friends. And I had a couple people it's like, well, they don't take anything seriously. Um, do I would I love to collaborate them and play with them more? Yeah, but our time doesn't like really line up, especially for me, especially since I'm always so busy. But they have like I love their energy because they have like a group of them that live in a house together and they have fun and they enjoy each other's company. Um if I ever possibly can, I watch them play the dating sims games and all the weird weeb games that I love. And it's a good hearty fun. And I love being friends with them because it brings this balance into my life in which like I'm very much a very serious person. But with them, it's just kind of like I can kick back, I can relax. There's nothing more expected of me than just having a good time. And like that's why I want to be friends with them. That's why I'm going to continue being with friends with them. And you know what? And it comes down to it. If they ever need help, of course I'm going to be there for them. But we didn't start off our relationship as a group with like, hey, we're like, I want you to check out this work. We can collaborate on this. Can we do this? Can we do that? It just started as a true friendship. So there's a difference there. And the people like will see me and they're like, I don't understand why. Why is it that you can't be?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just kind of that weird balance. I know I'm going to hurt people's feelings. I don't want to hurt people's feelings, but for my sanity, I'm going to have to.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure there's people that feel the same way about me towards certain things. And I'm sure when or if they ever have a conversation with me, like I might be a little bit bummed and hurt, but people got to do what they got to do.
Right. It needs to be done.
Mm-hmm.
It needs to be done. Anything else? What else is
No.
on your mind, Daniela? What else? What else?
Um.
What else you got going on over there?
What else? Oh man.
What
So
else you got going
I
on?
really want to talk about this but I haven't even made it. So I finally figured out what I want to do with my YouTube channel, or at least the start off of my YouTube channel. Um,
Okay.
and so I want to get back to working out and being fit. So I've started this whole thing of gamer fitness, VR fitness, and I used to go to the gym a bit, but with my work schedule, my life, it's just like the gym is not working out for me right now. But I
Mm-hmm.
can be home and I can work out. And there's a lot of different options. A lot of different options. So I'm just gonna start up this like vlog slash series of
Weekly
just
or
well, originally it was supposed to be bi-weekly, but I kind of failed with that because this last week and a half I've been coming home really late from work and I haven't been able to record. So I have like the first 2 weeks of this year recorded.
hmm.
Um, so right now I think the first one, my goal right now is to get it out by the beginning of next month and then have it bi-weekly. So every 2 weeks I'll have an update, have some like highlights and clips. I stream some of my VR stuff, and then I don't think I don't know. Maybe one day I will. I have no idea. But I also, for like the Nintendo Switch, I bought the Ring Fit Adventures, which that thing is way better than whatever that Wii Fit was. So the Ring Fit is actually, it's a solid workout. It's a good cardio. So a lot of it obviously is cardio. There's no um muscle building or anything like that. For right now, that's what I wanted, is cardio, just to burn fat. Because during my whole depression of last year, like, I was completely unhealthy, unmotivated. I'm sure that added on to like whatever I was feeling. Um, but I can unashamedly say that I think the heaviest I've been, excluding the time I was pregnant, was 181 pounds, which was last
Hmm.
year. And I was like, no, I can't have this. I can't have this. Yes, a lot of cardio, Elmo. And I actually started being more involved with your YUR is actually was actually originally just a mod for Beat Saber, and it tracked how much calories you did. And now they've expanded to being able to be a full um, app that you can download on Steam that actually tracks all of your cardio, all of your workouts through all VR. And they also have it for like the Quest, which is PC free, and um, you just install it via SideQuest, and it just tracks all of your VR, just like pretty much how much calories you're burning, how much squats you did. They have some compatibilities where you can sync it with your heart rate monitor. Actually, I just bought one and it came in the other day. It doesn't work with the wrist heart rate monitors. It's more of the chest strap ones. So I bought one. But you can tie it into there. It gives you a good like graph that displays, your activities, your duration, and they just recently put it in so that it ties into your Discord. So there's different levels. So there's like this competitive nature to it, which kind of pushes you and motivates you. If you're that type of person that likes to kind of be on leaderboards or to see
Hmm.
what your level is like, or at, kind of like an RPG. So that I just like jumped on board with that. A lot of my cardio workout has to do with VR, just specifically because it has that type of integration to it. And it's actually been a good motivation. And Carice, who we all know and love here, she actually works with Year. She's, I believe, the CDO, and she's kind of like the face of it. And she's also my really good friend. I'm kind of like purposely indirectly using her as this competition right now because I just want to be. She's like incredibly fit. She is incredibly fit, a very healthy, conscious person, and somebody that's like, okay, I want to be like Carrie Ann over here. Um, but yeah, so I just like, I need to get above her level. And for a little while, I had a little bit of a lead of her where my level was higher than hers. And now she's like 5 levels higher than me. I'm like, no, no, this
Yeah,
can't
she's on
happen.
that thing, man.
Yeah, she
She's doing
is.
what she had to do.
But yeah, so you're just released that, and then they've been doing really, really great, and I love being a part of that community. So, I mean, like the Nintendo Switch, the Ring Fit Adventures does have something like that. It does track your calories, but it doesn't really have like an external app where you currently it's in beta where you can actually have the app there and see where you're at, what you've done, what days you've worked out, and it's since it's all tied in with your email login information, it's like universal no matter what platform you're using, and that's nice. Ring Fit, I have to like pretty much log in, go and see. Same thing with, I've also been using Just Dance as part of that cardio too, to switch it up, and Neil has actually been joining me in with that. And the only reason why I don't think I'll ever stream any workouts I do on the Nintendo Switch is I am so uncoordinated. It is
You
embarrassing.
gotta do it. You gotta do
I
it.
I will do it for probably a charity stream. I will, and I'm gonna hate myself for it. Like you have
Yeah.
you have no idea. Just Dance. We were me and Gutter were playing it, and I'm like, we are so not coordinated for any of this. Like I understand we're just following what's on the screen, but we are
Right.
struggling with this. And No, like it looks so
You gotta
bad.
do it. Aaron, welcome. Good to see you, man.
Hey, Aaron. You got to
You gotta
show
do
that
it.
because you have before and after as you improve. I will. I will kind of do it. There is because for the Switch part, even though I'm not necessarily streaming it, I am still recording it. I have an external capture card, so I've been capturing that footage, and I've kind of been using my phone to capture video. And I'm like, I don't know if I want to tie these two together. Maybe I'll just have this, and maybe one day I will build up the courage to post a live feed of me doing Just Dance or Ring Fit Adventures and whatever else there may be. With streaming my VR stuff, it's there is coordination, but I don't have to match dance moves. I just kind of hit blocks, shoot things, swing a sword, something. It's like a whole lot less embarrassing. Oh man, just dance is just. I think so many times we've only came close to knocking each other out by accident. It was bad. But with just a Switch in general, like there's just no app for any of the games to track where your calories are or where your progress is or what days you worked out or not. Like you have to manually do all of those things and log in or
Mm,
sign into the game, which is a bit of a hassle. So I'm kind of sticking more towards the VR side, using your and all of the good stuff that they have there and just making a YouTube series of my progress. So before I even
okay.
started that, I started that on January 1st. But
Okay.
even before that, I started it by changing my diet, which for me, what works for me is intermittent fasting. I've tried all these other different ones and just like I can't keep up with the really
How long are you
weird,
fasting for?
like 16 hours. So there's,
That sleep into awake or
yeah, kind of. So like my
okay.
fasting for today, I started at 7:30. Last night was my last meal.
Got it.
So I'll probably, I'm actually past my 16 hours now. So I'll probably eat after this. And then there's an
Okay.
8 hour period or so. I kind of fast between 16 to 20 hours a day.
Okay.
And that actually works out for me because like trying all the other ones, tried keto, that or keto, however you want to say it. I'm like, this is just too much. Like for me to like stick to, oh, I can't eat this amount of carbs or I'm gonna count my macros. Like I ain't got time for that. I don't have time for that. So just let me eat what I want to eat. If I have to eat it during a certain time period, okay, fine. And so the hardest part is pretty much not stepping on the scale every day, but I did yesterday. So I started off the year at 175
Mm-hmm.
and that's January. Yeah, January 1st, 175. Which obviously I lost 6 pounds in between changing my diet alone. And then from yesterday, I was actually 167. So I'm like, oh yay, look at that progress.
That's
And
a lot of progress
I
actually.
don't have to sacrifice me having McDonald's at least once a week.
What do you get from McDonald's?
um a quarter pounder with no cheese. I don't like cheese
Mm.
on my I don't like yellow cheese. So,
Okay.
um or a
Why don't
fillet
you
of
like
fish
yellow cheese?
cuz it's yellow.
Really?
Yes. I've
What
been
does that signify?
that I don't think that yellow cheese is normal or right in the world.
Got it. Okay.
So
Okay.
I've been called a food racist or something, a foodist,
Interesting.
because I don't like yellow cheese and I don't like brown sodas.
You don't like brown sodas?
Yeah,
Huh. Huh. Okay.
those are just the two things. The only exception to the brown soda rule is Dr. Pepper. That's it.
So what's okay, so brown sodas, which ones though? Like which ones like you would like
I don't like root
off
beer. I
limits?
don't like Coca Cola. I don't like
Uh-huh.
Pepsi. I don't know.
Wow.
And cream
Okay.
soda, I like cream soda, but I don't think it's really like brown. It's like a creamy
Okay.
color, like a caramel.
That is interesting.
I am a colorist.
That's that's interesting.
Yellow cheese is fake cheese. It is fake cheese. Like cheese shouldn't be yellow. It's something's wrong with it, and it shouldn't be on there. And it's really hard. And there's only a few instances where I'll eat yellow cheese, but there has to be like a set guideline. Like there's a grilled cheese sandwich. I
Mm.
know that grilled cheese sandwiches should always have yellow cheese. So I'll have the tiniest little bit of yellow cheese in it, but the rest is like any other cheese. I don't care what cheese it is. It's just that's what's gonna
It's
be in there.
interesting.
And
It's
then
interesting.
yeah, like I don't like mayo. I really, really don't like mayo. I'll have it with my sushi, but like for like in a burger, I'll always be asked like, why don't you have mayo? So I'll put like the tiniest little dip of mayo and spread it on there. Like there's like no point.
Mayo with sushi.
Yeah, like certain sushi is made with mayo, like kind of like wasabi mayo is made with just wasabi and a little bit of mayo into it. So there's mayo in
Mm.
there, like your California rolls has mayo.
Mm.
It's a special
Mm.
type. It's not like your traditional Miracle Whip whatever mayo, but
Right.
it's this other one that has a little bit slighter sweeter
So
taste to it.
even so even if the mayo is like vegan, you're
Mm-mm. No.
okay.
Like, you know those little small little travel bottles or whatever of mayo? That could probably, if it didn't expire, it like probably last me 2 years.
Really?
That's how much mayo that I will ever use for anything.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm not a mayo fan.
So your YouTube stuff,
Yeah.
the you have a particular day you're gonna release the content, or
I'm
you
hoping for at
still
least this first one. I can do it before I can have the video edited by February 1st to upload and everything. That was the goal. It was originally supposed to be every 2 weeks, starting on the 15th. Just
so
that just went
what video
downhill because of work.
software
Hmm?
what video software are you using to edit?
Premiere Pro and After Effects.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'd pay for that. No, I'm
Well, I
not
didn't
skilled in
ask.
it.
I didn't ask.
I'm learning.
I didn't
I
ask.
know what you mean. Calling me out.
I didn't ask. Okay. All right. So you're shooting for what, 10, 15 minute segments, or you're shooting for
10 minutes. I mean,
weekly?
I don't want it to be too wordy. Although I realized that when I was recording, just like the vlogging part, I
Mhm.
talk a lot. I gotta work on that one.
What do you mean?
I don't know. I don't know. I just like to talk, and then just like, okay, I meant to like kind of just record the session of like, how I felt going into it, what I did.
It's
And it's like
okay
should be
to
like
talk.
30 seconds. The next thing I know, I'm like, this video is 5 minutes long. Why is this video 5 minutes long?
It's okay to talk.
I know. I just gotta cut it
Yeah.
down. No need to be
Yeah.
that
So are
wordy.
you trying to do like bullet points with it,
Yeah,
so you
kind
can keep
of.
the video shorter?
Yeah, kind
Okay.
of. That's kind of what I was trying to do to feel it out, try
Hmm.
different things.
Okay. All right. Keep me posted on that. I'd love to promote, retweet, and all that good stuff.
Yeah, I'll let you know. I'll let you
Okay.
know.
So Darwin Project, new battle royale. I checked it out. I liked it, and it's an interesting take. You're working with resources. You're crafting along the way, and it's about like I think about 10 people on the field, and then there's also an announcer component to it, which is really neat. I like it. I like it. It's free to play. Played a couple of matches. You can use your controller, which is great, and I had a lot of fun with it. Since I really don't play that many battle royale games, it was interesting to really see what they were doing there, and it was very well done for what I've played.
They have actually improved quite a bit from what it originally was in the
Mm,
betas and alphas into what was originally released. Um, yeah, it's like 10 players on there, but there's 11 altogether
mm,
because you have the director, I believe,
yeah,
who affects it based off with his own will. But yeah,
yeah,
it's a fun game.
yeah. So I checked that out, which was neat. I also checked out, which is not even here, Team Fortress 2, which is an older one. It still looks great. So it was cool to kind of do the training to see what else I can play. Right? Yeah, yeah. So I'll grab TF2, and it's downloaded and ready to go. So if you guys play that, just let me know. It looks really really good. So I'm learning. Trying different things. I mean, it's still a shooter, but I kind of dug that too. Um, what else? Temtem. Daniela, your thoughts on that?
I want to play that game so much. I
Looks really good.
it's I am absolutely ridiculous about games. So I want to play Temtem, which I think I might have to go and buy it. So Arsenal.gg, which I've done an interview with Ryan over at Lightstream, who also owns Arsenal. They have a whole key campaign that you can apply for streamers and everything like that. Really simple, easy process to go and do that. I'm waiting to see if I get approved. I
Okay.
did. I did. I'm trying out all these different things. And I'm like, because before when I applied to them, I've been approved for some cases and denied for others. They ask you, one of the questions they ask you is, like, why do you think you deserve this game? And, you be super professional. It's like, oh, my community
Right.
is this. And, they would love to see that. And they love this. And you want to include all that. You don't have to necessarily include all their numbers because with Arsenal, it already gives the stats about what your numbers are, your viewership, your follower count, all of these other things. So I'm like sitting there trying to think, like, what should I say? And basically, I'm trying to see if I can find my answer here.
Mm.
Basically, what I told them is, I would like to prove to my community that I do not just kill animals in games and laugh hysterically. That I can raise and love them too.
That's cool. It's definitely a different answer from probably the norms that they see.
Yeah, and it was a longer answer than that, and I actually screenshotted it and I tweeted it out. And amazingly, Arsenal actually retweeted it and loved it. But I'm like, okay, if they liked it, they approved. I'm
Right.
like sitting there in this limbo right now to the point where like I want to play Temtem. I'm gonna go and spend this $35, and they have the Steam sale going on for the Lunar New Year.
Oh my
Um,
goodness.
yeah, and so I was like,
Golly.
God, do I want to spend this $35 for this game? So I ended up spending like $60, and that game was
Mm.
not in it because I actually bought 3 VR games. I know, I disappoint myself too.
It's what's interesting
But
about that is I'll put something in the cart and I'm like, do I really want that? And then I'll take it out of the cart and I'll do that a couple of times and I'm like, but the sale ends what?
28th, I think.
27th, right?
27th or 28th. So tomorrow, I
Yeah,
think.
I'm like, should I get Borderlands 2 for $4.99? Or should I get the game of the year for like $8.79? I think it's
The answer
should
is
I
yes.
not get no? Why is the answer yes?
Because it's
what?
a good sale.
What?
It's a good
Oh man.
price.
I'm like, if you take it out, you didn't really want it. And that's the struggle, right? That's the struggle right now. I'm trying to figure out. But see, I love Borderlands. I've always loved Borderlands. I think I picked it up like twice already. Like, do I want to pick it up on PC since that's where I'm playing most of my games now? The answer is yes, but I don't know.
Elmo says,
I,
if you take it out,
uh,
you didn't really want it,
I
and
know.
Aaron has already dropped big money on the sale.
No, no.
So I did. I
And
will for my VR games. I wanted to add and expand on the different things I'm doing because a lot of my VR games are like rhythm based. So the games I bought was like Space Trainer, which is a shooter, Until You Fall, which is like this hack and slash sword and shield, and
mhm.
Pistol Whip, which is a shooter. So you know, it's like adding variety.
I
Tem-
need to know that I'm going to replay it. I think that's what it is. That's what it is. Street
yes,
Fighter
but for that
799.
price though,
I know.
for me,
Borderlands is
like
yeah.
unless something is like 70% off or more, I'm not gonna buy
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
But Temtem is something I definitely want to play, and I want to jump in it. And I think for right now, I'm okay not playing it just yet because if they it had so many people who were interested in Temtem that they had, they had problems with their servers, incredibly long queue lines. And you know what? I have to give them props for this because again, I'm not playing it yet. I've been paying attention to their social media. And of course, like gamers all feel like this self entitlement. Well, I paid for this and I expect this to happen. And the thing is, when it comes to having this open world MMO that you can play with other people, like for developers and for studios, you can plan for having XYZ amount of people to play. And you can have as many stress tests as you possibly can. But come for that day one launch when everybody's rushing to it, I don't think you can actually really plan for that. Like you can
Mm-hmm.
try your best, you can create that baseline. I'm like, okay, we think we're ready. We're gonna open up the gates. It's it's almost impossible to really, really see how many people are going to jump in on the game. And so they had these
Mm.
long queue lines, and they have been so amazing. They, as in Temtem, have been so amazing in like making these quick patches and these fixes and rolling out and having this like positive attitude about it. Because really, it's like that's also a great feeling that these many people want to play your game and that they're willing to wait however many hours in a queue to jump in and play. That's an amazing feeling. So I hope
Mm.
that they took that and be like, "Oh my god, these people they're loving it. Let's get this patch out so we can get these people in so they can enjoy what we spent years creating." So,
Mm.
and it's not like they have a huge team either. So, like I think they've done an amazing job and I can't wait to jump in to play. And oh yeah, part of my description about what I wanted to do is to raise animals so that they can defeat my enemies and I can bathe in their tears. Um That's what I do. They're really, really cute, and it's like such a it's not Pokemon, but it is Pokemon, but it's like what you want Pokemon to have, this open world experience to play with your friends, and just create your own house and your own little pets and just do all these things and attack, and I think it's great.
Mm.
Almost says,
Okay.
plus when they are in, people will look for glitches and exploits that are obscure as hell and cry about it. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, those entitled gamers.
Indeed. Indeed. So I'm gonna. Okay, so this is episode 520. I want to do something a little different, since I feel like I'm trying to catch up, especially the last 2 3 weeks. So, chat. I'm going to tell you the rest of the topics for the show, and then if there's anything in between there that you want us to do, like quick thoughts on, we'll do that. So that way we cover not only what we have here, but some of the things that you've probably been thinking about, the last 2 weeks or whatever. So we have Xbox Series X, Disintegration Beta, Project Mara, Witcher anime movie, Kojima Productions, Bad Boys for Life, and DBZ Kakarot. So those are the topics that we have for the rest of the show. We'll probably do some quick thoughts on those things and close out. If there's anything in between that you thought about or you're wondering about or anything like that, just let us know and we'll cover that. So that was Temtem. Xbox Series X. Daniela, do you care where you play your games?
Yeah, no.
Okay, tell me more.
Um, it's more of like what is easier for me. And right now, like I come off as just being a PC elitist. Right now, for me, um, PC just is easier because it's easier for me to turn on and load up, and majority of my friends are there anyways. And then PlayStation, and then Xbox. But it it does and it doesn't matter to me.
Mm-hmm.
Depends. But I'm like I have middle feelings about the Xbox Series X.
Okay.
Um I thought it was kind of weird about having like, oh, they will not have any exclusives for a long while after their launch. I'm like, yeah, that's gonna hurt. But then you see what else they're doing and the bigger picture of everything. It's more about them giving the options to, to their demographic, to their user base, about like, we might not have exclusives, but you still can still play it, and we're still going to support what you currently have now and what we're going to have on the cloud. And play it on your phone. So they're giving all these other options, even though they won't have exclusives. And I think that's also great and a great alternative and something that they are obviously advertising about and are trying to put towards. It's like you can play your games anywhere you want on any one of our systems. Sport's going to be there.
Hmm.
So I think that's great. Uh, I still think having no exclusives is going to hurt though, because that's
Yeah.
what a good portion of the demographic is going to see is people right now. They want to play what's the latest and greatest games. They don't want to wait a year for the Xbox
Right.
to get it. They want to play it then. Um,
But
but we'll see how this
it's
plays out.
no, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Let's see. Nihilane says, with the increased involvement of communities in games these days, do you think that developers need to create a specific role within their companies to address community pain points, specifically in regards to game balance? Oh, that's
I
one of the questions that
think
do you want to
okay,
answer that
so
after it, or do you want to?
yeah. We so I'm thinking about a couple of things right now. So I think the beating of the dead horse is the situation as it relates to the Xbox Series X. I think having the ability to play games wherever is absolutely a great option, and it seems like we treat these consoles or non-console things as sport, die hard Knicks fan or die hard whatever, right? And I think that's how we treat this culture of open architecture versus closed, PC keyboard and mouse versus controller, which I think that conversation as it relates to PC keyboard and mouse versus controller should die. And here's why I think it should die. Because if someone is great at a controller and someone is great at keyboard and mouse and they go head to head, I think it could go either way. That's how I view it. So if that wasn't the case, then the person going from a controller, closed architecture, which is a console, and using that controller on a PC, which is open architecture, maybe a new area for them, but they have quote unquote mastered the efficiency of the controller, they should not get any frags at all, right? If the argument is one is better than the other as it relates, I think it really deals with efficiency. So that's my thoughts on that. But playing where you want to play games is a great thing. And the other thing I was thinking about as it relates to not having exclusives the first year is this gives uh, developers port things that are somewhat familiar to them to a new hardware that they get a chance to master, right? Learn how that hardware is as it relates as it approaches, a year to create those exclusives. I think it's a great learning curve for the developers as they learn the unit itself. And I think that if you remember the PlayStation 3 era, towards the tail end of that system is when we started seeing it push to the limits, right? As it relates to some of the things that we saw there. So those are my thoughts on there. You have any additional thoughts on that?
No, I don't. I'm just at this point where I'm. I actually at this point where when I was not really liking Xbox, like I still don't know how I feel about the console itself, Xbox Series X. But I will say I absolutely love their Xbox Game Pass. That is
Yeah.
something that like it's been a while since I've actually gave kudos to Xbox, but I gotta say, I jumped on that deal that they had at June last year during E3, where it's like $1 for whatever the remainder of your current Xbox Gold thing, and it's like
Mhm.
that has been great. Just having that access, and you get all these like new games day one. You don't like you're not paying like the brand new $60 price point for it. That is something they did great. If they continue that, enhance it into going forward into offering stuff for the Xbox Series X, honestly, I think they'll be fine. It is just getting past that point of gamers seeing that they're not going to have exclusives. Once
Mhm.
gamers can see past that, I think they can have a pretty successful launch day this holiday.
I agree with that. Project Mara looks neat. Tried out DBZ, Kakarot. Yeah, so Daniela, you can jump in. Your thoughts on DBZ?
I love it. So my very first thing that I did with Kakarot was I obviously changed all the voice acting to Japanese because that's how I watch my anime. I'm not like some anime snob, but I'm sorry. Sub over dub. Um,
Sub over. Okay, I
yeah,
get it. Get it. All
yeah,
right.
and the controls are a little bit weird though. I gotta say that the controls are
Okay.
a little bit weird. So I got it on PlayStation 4, and um, GameStop actually replied back to me with something like this because it was a while. Like going back a little backstory here. When I picked up my copy of it, the employee at GameStop actually asked me, "Is this for your boyfriend or your brother?" No, me. And then proceeded with trying to ask me, Dragon Ball trivia questions. And I'm like, no, hold your tongue. I don't want to hear it. And then he like started to ask, he started the question of asking if I got it on the right system. I'm like, really? Really? You're going to be that stereotype GameStop employee? And he was a new employee.
Right.
Like that GameStop knows me, but this is a new employee. And I was like, you could just go talk to your manager. He's going to laugh at you. And I tweeted about this, and GameStop replied back to that tweet. He was like, tell him we'll be laughing at him too.
Hmm.
And it was funny. And the GameStop manager, um, he texted me and he's like, yeah, I know. I'm sorry.
That's crazy.
But anyway,
Um,
so I gotta play it. Yes, the controls are super weird to me. So you would think like your left joystick will help, like when you're flying, it would be up and down, and it really isn't. So you have ascend and descend as your R1 and R2, and that is so weird for me. Like it's just the control scheme is it's I don't
you
know,
can't
just
change.
like you not really know.
Okay.
Um, and then the the fighting itself could probably be a little bit better. Like visually, it looks amazing. Going through controller, like you kind of build up this combo, but you have like these meters that you build up with your key, and you would think that you could just like do a special like move, which you kind of do, but you have to link it to your ability to do a combo. It's really super weird, and it's like it's you can do a lot, but not at the same time.
Hmm.
And I think it's just more of the controls and the controlling schemes and what they decided on. That's just super weird to me. The voice acting is great. The music is amazing and it's classic. The storyline, it's like watching a super condensed Dragon Ball Z. The entire series, because that's what it's going through is the storyline. Um, without all the fillers, without like having this battle showdown that lasts 4 episodes. Um, and that's been spectacular to me. I
Okay.
haven't finished it yet, but I love it. I really do. And right now for me, one of the highlights that I love is something very simple and very small. So as you fly around, you can pick up collectibles. And what these little picture collectibles are actually like screenshots and a little story from Dragon Ball. So when Goku was a kid and you get to see
So
that.
lore.
Yeah. So you can say it's lore or just like from previous like the Dragon Ball series or not the Dragon Ball Z series. Um and right now like the battle that frustrated me so much that shouldn't have taken me so long was actually the first serious fight you get into, which is with Raditz. And that took me like an hour to get through that. And it was like so frustrating. And I finally beat him. It was like exactly midnight. I wanted to shout so loud, but it was midnight. And I had this like really super quiet, like, yes, I did it. I did it. It's done. Oh my goodness. It is. It does have everything from the Z series. Super condensed. So it's like only the super important parts. Part that I found was funny. I don't know if you've ever watched Dragon Ball or anything like that. And you know what? It's been years, people. I'm not spoiling it for anybody. If you haven't watched anime, well, you missed out on your entire childhood.
Hmm.
Was after you get in the fight with Raditz, which is funny because I beat him and like I know how this ends. Just let me get through this.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Goku dies, and he goes and see King Yama, and he's gonna go see King Kai and all this stuff. And they had this part that I thought it was totally a trick, and it really was a trick because it doesn't happen in anime series. But you're talking to King Yama, and then he asks you these questions. I'm like, oh, I actually had to pay attention to what you're saying. And I had to go
Mm-hmm.
off of like, okay, I know this. And the final question is this question 4 or 5? I'm like, I don't know.
Oh, you're testing you.
Yeah, it
Wow.
was. It was actually kind of funny. But I like it. Just the controls is super weird. I like
Okay.
this. Like I'll have a full more in depth review of it because there are certain aspects where you obviously you're following the Dragon Ball Z storyline, and they're not going to change the Dragon Ball Z storyline. Like if you were meant to kill Raditz, you're going to kill Raditz. There's no way that you're going to do it. Even if you won that fight, you're Goku's still going to die. You know, um, what it's just I don't know how to put it. There's a way that they're trying to implement this like kind of RPG element to it, which I
Yeah.
don't know how I feel. You pick up these little soul emblems, you can create your teams, and your teams have these buffs that help you along. And I'm like, well, does it just make the fight easier? Because it's obviously not going to change the story. Um, and that's kind of the biggest part in it.
Okay.
It's just that it's like something that's new that I'm kind of like, I wonder how this plays out later on. Yeah, I do. Aaron says Raditz is kicking his butts, and that's kind of strange that you have to win the fights and then the cutscenes show you losing.
Yeah.
So, but it's the DBZ game I've always wanted.
Okay.
It's just a lot of fun, and straight up, if you're new to the Dragon Ball series, um, and you wanted to always jump into it, but you don't know where, and it's just a lot to catch up on. Right now, I will say, if you pick up Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, um, that is a great entry point because you get to experience it, you get to physically play it out and experience it, but you also get the storyline. What up, Eddie? And
Right.
um, I just love it. It just brings back so much childhood memories. And before they even announced Kakarot, it was like I like all the fighter games that they have, but at the same time, I don't really like fighters like that. Like I can't justify spending $60. I think the last $60 fighter game I bought was Mortal Kombat 11, and I kind of regret it.
The
And
Street Fighter's like $8 right now. You picking that up?
no, I already got it all over here. I can just use cutters. He has all of that. But I can't, I just can't. And even though I
Mm.
really love the way that all the Dragon Ball fighters looked, I couldn't. I couldn't. And I almost bought Dragon Ball Fighter Z. It just didn't happen. And everybody was asking me, it's like, yeah, but you like the anime, you like this. When are you ever going to play it? I was like, if they ever made an open world, well, technically, what I asked for was an open world Dragon Ball game where I can play as a character, or I can create my own character or play as one of the character in the story in the universe of Dragon Ball. I'd be all for it. So when they announced it, I was so pumped and excited. And now that it's here, it's in my hand, I can play it. Amazing. I
Okay.
love it. Like, and the thing is, I feel like maybe I'm gonna play it later on, and maybe this can change because I did see some places that were really hating on it. But I can say right now, I love it. I'm enjoying it.
All right. I want to go back a little bit. Some of the comments that I posted in chat. Horizon Zero Dawn coming to PC. Okay. So, quick thoughts on Project Mara, the trailer. Did you see that?
Yes, I did. Oh my god,
Thoughts?
Ninja Theory is coming out with some good stuff. So, obviously, got Senua's Sacrifice that they announced. That I'm super stoked on. Project Mara looks like a really good psychological horror game that I would obviously jump into. There's just something about their style that I love
Yeah.
that is so unique to them, and that when you see a trailer, you know it's from them.
Yeah, it's scary. I might not play it. I'll thank you for playing it for me. That's probably what's gonna happen. Horizon Zero Dawn coming to PC, and it may be being a gateway for Sony exclusives coming more often to PC. Thoughts on that?
I hope so. I hope so. As much as I love exclusives, I don't at the same time because
Mm-hmm.
it just like I understand the business and marketing standpoint to make a game exclusive to a certain platform. I really also hate it when you just like there's other people who want to experience it. And I want people, I want gamers to experience all these games that we are enjoying, no matter what platform they're on. So if that
Right.
means that there's like this slow bridge that's being built, this partnership to bring over Sony games to PC, that's amazing. Like you need to be on PC.
Yeah. Agreed. I want to see like Uncharted, that whole series. If that comes to PC, I'm going to be really, really happy because Uncharted 2 really changed a lot of things for me. The first Uncharted intrigued me for the PS3. Second Uncharted, I bought in to the whole world. So yeah, I would love to see that happen if they consider doing that. All right, so here's an interesting one from Nalane. Oh, I
Really?
got that right. With the increased involvement of communities in games these days, do you think that developers need to create a specific role within their companies to address community pain points, specifically in regards to game balance? And immediately I have a game in mind once I read that. I want to hear your thoughts first, though.
Well, almost says they have. That's why they have community managers. And Helene
Mm-hmm.
says community managers aren't there to implement game changes. They're there as interface between developers and communities.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I agree. That's kind of what community managers kind of do. I don't think it's
Mm-hmm.
necessarily on them to address those things. Plus, I would. I think I can safely say a majority of community managers don't understand the programming aspects and the balancing aspects. Not all of them. Eventually, they learn that balancing between the games, but I don't think they ever start off that way. But
Okay.
should there be a specific roles within companies? Absolutely. That's kind of separate from, just being the sole developer because uh for for the developer standpoint, when they're creating this, they're not necessarily listening to what the community says. But there's got to be this weird balance, and it has to be a person that's very, very oh gosh, what's the word I'm looking for? That person has to be balanced
Involved.
themselves, but there's well not involved. So here's the thing, and here's the thing I see a lot of. And you know what?
Okay.
I saw a lot of it from the games that I love. Damn it, rest in peace, Breakaway. But you can have you can have these developers who just like they're so amazed. They're like, oh my gosh, our community is adding to this. They want to do this. Oh, we just want to make them happy. Let's just go make the changes that they like. And then they'll make it, but then it completely unbalances the game and is favoring this one thing just because, you have these gamers who just like feel like the game is too hard for them to actually build the skills to adapt to whatever what the game was designed for, and then you end up getting this like failing game because it's so imbalanced and they're trying to revert back while making the community happy. So the person that's in between that developer and the community manager or the community itself needs to be very disciplined and knowing that okay, we understand what you guys are having gripes about, what your issues are. We'll address some of them, but not all of them. And this is what we're going to be doing. If we implemented it this way, what are your thoughts on that? Like, there's got to be this balance in between it. And I think developers are just so how do I put it? They're not like we're reaching that point where the community has so much easier access to the developers that
True.
wasn't there before. And the fact is like you'll have like these NDA servers in where you as a fan that's enjoying and playing their game can tell them like, hey, I noticed this, would it be using that? And these developers who don't normally have that interaction are like, wow, they love our game. They're talking to us. We get to hear about it live rather than our QA team, or rather than after the fact, after this first beta phase. Is like this live interaction. I still think there should be some cutoff point to that, in where developers, you really need to just stop listening to what everybody else is saying,
Hmm.
and create feedbacks, and where you have a person who's taking that all in, seeing what the common thread is, and you're like, okay, multiple people have said, okay, this jump is too much this way, and they're complaining about this, so maybe we can tune it down just a little bit. Maybe if we try it this way. Lane adds, developers seem to tend to either stick to their original design plans or try to satisfy every community member at once, and both those routes don't lead to the most success, and it really doesn't. And that's where I think having that person in the middle, that middle role that you're talking about, or at least I think you're talking about, that is very disciplined on, like, here was the original game plan. This is the original design that our studio has created, to what our community is like complaining about, and just being disciplined enough to find that middle ground, and providing
Right.
that middle ground to the developers to finish and pretty much put that into play and to try it out. Elmo says, our desires as gamers always don't match the same as the devs. At the end of the day,
Yeah.
it's the
Hold on
devs.
one second.
What's up?
Second. So I don't think that it is a bad thing for the community manager to be well versed in everything that the developers are doing. And I think we've seen a lot of companies do that really, really well, where they're, well, some do it well and some do not. I'll just leave it there, because that I can jump into like a whole nother a bit about that, and I'd rather not. But I think that creating a separate uh, spot for that, or a specific title for that, I don't think it's necessary. I think going back to some of the things that you were saying about individuals being so accessible, right? And I think that we have so many hours in these games where we can kind of figure out what would work great. We may not necessarily know if it's going to make or break the actual title, but I don't think that it's a bad thing for the access to be there. I just think that the leadership of that particular organization has to decide how much input that they want to allow into the project or not. And if it's a games as a service, they have to welcome that. And if they need to put a community manager that is well versed in almost everything that the developers are doing, right, working closely together, I think that's more advantageous to them. And I think the transparency to have that in place is better. And we notice some companies, some looter shooters have individuals in place that are well versed for what the developers are doing. And even some of the head creators are speaking out about that particular game or project or games as a service. And I think that you don't necessarily create a new role for that, but having individuals who are well versed to contextualize the conversation, as well as share the information where we can receive it in such a way that is going to benefit not just the consumer, but the developers as well. I think that's a good way to go. So where were we?
Oh,
We had
okay.
a couple of
I
things.
want Nihilane to, I guess, explain this a little bit more. He says, to buzzword it up, I'm wondering if, aside from the game design side, there needs to be a gameplay experience design side. Can you elaborate on that a little bit more? And Elmo says, our desires as gamers always don't match the same as the devs. At the end of the day, it's the devs' vision and idea for a game, not ours. And I believe this culture of telling devs what's wrong is a bit harsh on them, as I have no doubt they know the issues. They are just limited by their publisher and financial support. Yes.
Yeah.
I can
Yes,
definitely
yes, and
see that.
no. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Because it's really hard to get so many people and to have these servers now. Like they like, I know a lot of studios are using Discord for their private betas and closed alphas, and having the community in there directly, and you have all these developers in there. And a lot of these entitled players are just like messaging them. I like this. I like this. I like this. Do this. Do this. Do this. Oh, this is crap. This is crap. This is crap. Um, and it starts to, again, they're only human. It starts to just kind of really,
True.
you know, eat away at them to hear these things. So they're just going to try to please everybody without taking into consideration of like, is this a smart idea? How is this going to
So,
affect it?
so you know what's interesting about what you just said triggered something for me is one side, one game I look at, people were encouraged about how much people cared about the game, right? And that ties into branding as well, where they were willing to change the information because they got caught out there, and they made the changes to the best of their ability for us to have a game that we can actually enjoy. Another game had a lot of leadership issues where they were like literally just spewing a whole bunch of stuff on social media about um, there was a lot of tension coming from them because of the dissatisfaction that people had with their particular product. So one realized that, man, they're really invested in this particular thing. Let's do the best that we can. Another one was like, well, we're going to do what we want to do when we get to it, and you guys can win on that. So both branding, right? But both totally different. And that, I'm sure, affected sales, and I'm sure that affected how they want the project to continue. So even with little things like that, as you present, um, there's definitely there. You should definitely have a person speaking on behalf of the 20, 30, 50 developers that's working on a particular project. But branding is everything. And I think that for one game, it's affected it so much where even though they're continuing to work on the game and even make it better, the weight that it had when it first launched, Division 2, right, is different than what we see now, right? And it's very interesting on how they're managing their brand now to make this games as a service the best that it can be. So one is fully invested, right? But branding is a little bit better, you know, outlook, perspective, nuance, right? The other one is like, we're still wondering, are you guys really trying to do this, right? Fix it for the
Mm-hmm.
better? Do you guys really care? And with the recent updating and changes that they're bringing together, it looks like they do. But we care. We want to see the changes. We want to see a change for the better, and we may not know everything before, but I'm glad that the transparency is there. The devs can speak for themselves. They're not individuals who can't articulate what they're doing, right? So I think it's not like, whoa, don't hurt the devs' feelings. It's recognize that we care so much about the game, we want to see. It's just thinking out loud.
Well, I don't think it's like hurting their feelings, but I can't say it wasn't like at
It
Amazon.
it did for some,
It did for some. It does because
yeah,
it's something they've been
and they
working on for
voiced
a
it
really
out
long time.
socially, right?
But yeah, being at Amazon, like, oh, look at the stuff that I made. Look at all these things. And I'm like, I don't even ask for it, but you know, I'm glad that you want to share it with me.
Right.
Aaron says, eventually you got people trying to Sonic the design process. That is a good and bad example because,
Hmm.
yes, Sonic looked terrible and
Right.
people were just abundant about it. But it was also a
Right.
very universal thing. I don't think I saw a single person who loved that original Sonic design. And then they're like, oh, okay, maybe the entire world has a point there. We're going to go and change
Right.
it and it'll look better. And everybody was happy. That's
Right.
kind of a good and bad thing. But then that also gives me like that thing of like, oh, if we force it upon them and we tell them we don't like this, they have to change it because we're coming together and doing these things. It's there's got to be something in where the community as a whole as gamers need to back away and just let them have their creative take over about what they originally visioned. Can you imagine Just going back and having, what is the game that frustrates me most and pisses me off? Super Ghosts and Goblins. That game is incredibly hard. You play as like little
Hmm.
King Arthur, little Arthur over there. That game was so hard and it
Hmm.
was difficult and it was such a pain. But it was a great game.
Hmm.
Can you imagine how many people, if they could actually have direct interaction with them to change, this platforming game, or even the Lion King game, which that is universal for being known as like the most difficult game and such a
It
pain.
was.
Like that is Lion King was the Dark Souls of that time. Um, but yet people remembered like also really enjoying it, really loving playing it, and it still
Hmm.
has its fame. Can you imagine if we had access to those developers to voice our complaints about that and how much it would change in that experience just because like it happened to be a difficult game?
Right.
Like we
Right.
have
Right.
we
Right.
have to we have to find that balance and stop being such self-entitled people that feel like, well, if you're not going to change this, I'm not going to spend my money on you. Like, okay, well then don't.
Right.
The studio gets to still make the game that they wanted to make. Um, and I think some of the most successful games really that have come out that we almost knew nothing about during its design process that still has done really great.
Hmm.
Apex Legends would be one of them. That came out of the blue. It was just, here's a game, dropped it, and it's an amazing game.
Right.
And I'm sure there was like a closed group of gamers in the community that probably had access to it to play it, but we didn't have everybody jumping in and voicing like what should be changed or what needs to be added or what they're doing wrong. They
Right.
had
But
that
but
freedom.
they learn from their mistakes though on that, because that's whoever they hired for the marketing to drop that did it right, because the last game that they dropped that was a shooter, they dropped it in among Titans, and they lost a lot of money where they had to put the game on sale early, Titanfall 2. So somebody said something and they learned from their mistakes. So you have to have somebody speaking. Even with the Sonic design thing, I didn't realize how bad it was until I started looking at the comparison pictures. But since I love Sonic and Jim Carrey, I was already in. But once they redesigned it, I was like, yeah, this is great. So
Don't you make me cry
somebody has to
bringing up
say
how they
something.
buried.
Hmm?
No, Elmo, don't you make me cry bringing out how they buried Team Fortress 2. Well, they
It's
did. They
somebody has to speak, man. Somebody has to say something. And I think that the way things are designed now is,
Oh, I said Titanfall 2. Sorry. I
yeah.
was saying Team Fortress 2. Wrong
I mean,
TF2.
it's true. But someone learned, right?
Yeah,
They
someone
didn't want to make
someone
that
learned,
mistake
but that
again.
didn't come from the community though. That came from marketing and them seeing their
Well,
sales.
yeah. Part of it came from the community because nobody knew that it dropped. So yeah, that's a result. That's a direct result of no consumer dollars was spent, because January, February, we're finding out that the game came out in the middle of a whole bunch of super 500 million a week titles as soon as they drop, like CODs and all that stuff. Yeah, that's whether it was intentional with someone's voice versus the actual dollars that they were looking at on the financial stuff. That's a direct conversation. Like, we didn't know that you dropped something. So yeah, that's part of it. That's definitely part of it. The fact that they dropped the prices to recoup, definitely part of it. When Destiny 2 got called out there with the data mining, and they had to give the game out for free for a little bit, the base game, because they knew that they were making changes to kind of recoup that later on, that's definitely part of it. You messed up, and to the point where you release articles later on to say, you know what, hey, we messed up 2 to 3 years later, but you can't say you messed up, you know second week or third week of the game releasing. You can't say you messed up when Titanfall 2 drops in November, and then you say in December you messed up. You would really tank the money coming in if you announce that you messed up in December of when it launched. You don't announce that you messed up until 2 weeks out, 2 years, excuse me, 2 years, 3 years out, that, you know what, We should have dropped it in a different window, right? So all that said or unsaid is going to affect it, to the point where you're like, okay, you know what? We're not going to get this wrong this time. As you were saying, we're going to launch Apex, just going to drop it. Nobody's expecting it, right?
Well,
And
yeah,
it
but
blew
even then,
up.
nobody during the development process of it, nobody really
Right. I
heard
agree
about
with
it.
you. Nobody knew. But the marketing, though, was brilliant. It was just beautiful. Ghost Recon Breakpoint. Let me see. Did we miss anything up top, Daniela? I want to make sure I'm not
Joe
missing.
Coleslaw, welcome, dude, says today's
Welcome.
standard would be format from. Today's standard would be from soft. They aren't nudging.
Now, from soft is Sekiro, right? Right?
You're asking me all these other questions. I don't remember.
I think from soft is Sekiro. It is, right?
I don't know. I don't like Sekiro
I'm
that way.
guessing right now, but it sounds right. Everybody's quiet.
Yeah, I don't know.
But he's speaking.
Sekiro made that one? I have no clue if they made Sekiro.
I think
never even
so.
played that game.
From Software. Let's look.
Not making games easier to appease the players. That's what he meant.
Huh?
That's what he meant. Not making games easier to appease to players. That's what he meant.
Yeah. But I think From Software is Sekiro. That's why I'm looking up products. Brand IP.
But Aaron says Titanfall 2 isn't Beyonce.
Sekiro.
You can't just drop a new album overnight without telling anyone.
You could if you dropped it January, February. You could. You could have. You were still working. First game was exclusive. Second game was multi-platform. You still had the tension of why is it multi-platform? And then you had the Call of Duties and all the games that drop in November. You could have dropped it March and got the tax money, right? Because everybody wants to buy something during tax time. You could have, but you didn't. So when you look at how they did Apex and the business model that they use for Apex, I think that has benefited them more because battle royales were still popping, right?
And I think they dropped during a good time where there weren't any titans that were gonna shadow over them.
Right.
They just like showed up. Here we are.
Right.
And then on top of that, like, yeah, Ghost Recon Breakpoint. I was amazed.
What is that?
Like,
what is that?
Ghost Recon's latest game. I thought it was still in an alpha or something or a beta, and I was like, oh wait, it actually released. But then again, I haven't been interested in a Ghost Recon game in a while because I think they've been crap. Listen, and then I mean, Eminem isn't Beyonce, but he just dropped a whole new album at the beginning of the year, and it's just like,
right,
that thing was fire, and I loved it.
Right, it's really good, definitely really good. Yeah, that Ghost Recon was, I don't know, I wasn't interested. I wasn't interested at all. Not saying that it's a bad game. I'm sure the story is good. I know some individuals loved it. I'm a wolf. Yeah, so even the actors in the Ghost Recon, I think, is really amazing. But it's not Division 2, right? And I think having games that are so closely related takes away from the momentum, right? For the particular products in your portfolio. And I think that was, did we need it? I don't think it did that well, because you're still, you have the dead Division 2 game at the time, right? People are trying to figure out if you're going to fix it, and then you come out with the Ghost Recon, and we're like, yeah, but you didn't fix the Division 2, like, no. So it was bad, and I think that people forget. that the reputation of your last project is just as important as the current one that you're dropping.
Mm-hmm.
What we got in chat? What's up? We good?
Yeah, Elmo says huge marketing budget on Ghost Recon, but so many gamers are still out on Ubisoft and their monetization process, so we knew it would have issues.
Yeah.
It tried to be Division, and it was weird.
Yeah. So Division 2 is on an upswing. People are excited about that. They've announced in the last maybe 1 or 2 state of the games that they're making changes, which is great. And I'm excited about it. I just don't have it on PC, right? I have it on PlayStation 4, but I'm not going to do a subscription thing for PlayStation 4 to play games online. I've been delivered from subscription models to give me access to play games online.
You've been
right?
delivered.
And I've been delivered. I've been set free, right? And I'm trying to see how much of that I can play, but I can't because I need to be online to play that. Division 2 too late. Like Destiny, and it hurts because I love the. Is it though? Is it though? I don't know. I don't know if it's too late or not. I don't know if it's too late or not because those games are designed to be for you. It is okay. That's fair. That is fair. You talk about Ubisoft Midway Crisis now, probably where I came. No, give me more data on that because we picked a couple of topics for the show, but we left it a little bit open because we didn't want to be too linear, because a lot of us don't like linear things that much. Yeah, Ubisoft's reputation, as I'm thinking about it, as a whole, is okay, right? EA, it's all right. So it's like you can name some of the companies, and the first thought that pops into your mind, not all of it is positive. Danielle, you got anything?
No. It's been a while since I think I've even been interested in anything from Ubisoft. Like they are I'm kind of with Elmo on that one where I feel like it's a little bit too little too late. It's going to be a bit before I'm going to jump on the Ubisoft bandwagon for anything.
Yeah. I mean, there's some games that are pretty, for Ubisoft, and there's just certain games that need some work. And I think we have to be honest about that. And the reason why I believe that Division took such a hit is because they weren't really being honest about how much gaps there were in between what you can do in the game. It was dry, right? I think once you are honest about that with the community that's spending 200, 300, 400 hours playing your game, right? And they're the quote unquote evangelists for your particular product, influencers or what have you. You got to pay attention to that stuff. Now, Stadia. Danielle, what are your thoughts?
Told you that thing was going to be crap. Yeah, but going back just like one thing with Joe Coleslaw. No, we didn't really cover that, but for me personally, I don't know too much about what's going on that end, on that spectrum, so I'm not really adding too much to it. I'm just like kind of not really impressed personally on Ubisoft and their products at the moment. And they have Joe also says they have a new manager or something. The committee will meet in France, and instead of one person overseeing every soft title, they'll have one per game. But I like the Ubisoft model: get tired, take outposts, rinse and repeat.
So, all right. So, Stadia for you is high ping, right? I think you mentioned that.
What is that?
It would be high ping. High ping for you for Stadia.
Oh
if you're
yeah,
trying
I thought you
to...
said paying. I'm like paying. I'm not paying for nothing.
Yeah.
Yes, it'll be a high ping, and that's the thing is like when we brought up Stadia before, I said like it wasn't going to do well. It's like pretty much alienating a huge gamer demographic, the ones that do not have solid internet connections. It's like their infrastructure in that local area isn't that good, and there's a lot of places that are like that. And where the places that do have that type of infrastructure that can handle that, like it's just not going to happen. And it's not just because I'm in Hawaii that I don't have local servers that it's pretty much a crap service. There's many
Mm.
people in the other 49 states that had the same issue that were like on the bandwagon for Stadia. This is a cool idea. They jumped in and they have problems. So it's not just me. It's I know people in the other 49 states that just like they were just let down. They were disappointed by this and they're like, I just spent money on this crap.
All right, so for Stadia, as I'm thinking about it right now, they need to have. I know they did additional pop-ups after they released, right? I think they need to use some of the marketing budget that they have a lot of, and be at conventions a little bit more, for individuals to really have a conversation about what they're aiming at to do, right? And I think that will help them tremendously. Going back to what Joe was saying, instead of one person overseeing every software title, they'll have one. I think that's great. And I think that as I'm thinking about that right now, is use the individuals on your team, and take the load off other individuals, right? Like if you have a large team and they have gifts in different areas, right? Whether that's sales, marketing, or what have you, use those individuals to market what you need to market. So it's not pressured on just one person, right? I think it would be wrong for me to believe that I have all the skill sets here, but Daniela's on the team as well, right? I think that if you know that you have additional individuals that you can bounce things off of, I think it's good to do that as a team, whether that's a small team or a huge team. And I think that that's a good start for them. And let's see where they take it.
But the original question for the Stadia stuff was with Helene. So speaking of online, do you think cloud services like Stadia will pop up again soon? And Stadia seems to have failed for all intents and purposes so far.
I think
Um,
they're rebranding. Go ahead.
yeah, they're having to reevaluate it, and then just going off of what Aaron says, they're charging big money for us to beta test Stadia.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, pretty much. And the thing is that Xbox's little X Cloud there, um, is pretty much what's going to dominate it because they already had that infrastructure built in for them based off of whatever they have already um, created. That's kind of what they've gone going through, and it's kind of you could have seen that going forward when they announced that like, hey, we're gonna have this cloud, it's gonna use this. You already have this console here. It's gonna backpack off of that to make it easier for you. Um,
Mm-hmm.
But what going with Ruru says that I don't think it's alienating gamers that doesn't have bad internet. Remember when iPhones first launched, only AT&T was the only character, but that did so well. So there's a whole lot to unpack with that. So AT&T had to partner with somebody at that time because Verizon was dominating. It really was. So the smart thing on a marketing and business standpoint is to partner with something that is very exclusive that people wanted, that's a hot item, and iPhones were at that time because Android wasn't around. So you have this incredible smartphone that um, Apple created, and I think the only other smartphones really there were like Blackberries, and even those weren't tailored towards your general phone user at that time. It wasn't user friendly, and people wanted that, and that's why people jumped onto it. Stadia does not offer that type of exclusivity in which it is this hot item that no one can get or experience anywhere else. Or during that time with like AT&T, the iPhone was that. And people are going to use it and just because it's something that's new and flashy.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Some more on Stadia. Like even with the controller, they went to the community to make sure the molding of the controller was right. Right? They did that. They spent a lot of time doing that. But all the other areas they didn't spend a lot of time on, which is sad because I haven't heard people not liking the controller. People really dig the controller with what it's used for, right? But in terms of everything else that they implemented for it, that's where all the questions come up.
yeah, and I think that's where Xbox is going to shine. Their service is going to outdo what Google is trying to do.
Mm.
That's where I think like Stadia, the idea was there, the implementation just isn't. It's just not. It's not going to meet gamer expectations. And it is an expensive beta. Pretty much people had to buy it. And
Hmm.
like they still have all of these issues. They're still trying to work through all of these issues. And this is the same problem that many people have with games that just get released. You end up paying $60 for, and they're still like, does not even feel like a complete game. And then VR, I love my VR.
Hmm.
So yes, it's had failures, but I love my VR. And there's so many different options for VR, so many different options you can go down of, and they all have their own positives and negatives to it. It just depends on what kind of experience you want. VR is turning into be like you choose it based off of the platform you like, even though you're playing all the same games. The stadium market is people with good internet who have poor computers. Very true,
Somewhat, I
Nolan.
can agree with that.
Yeah, I can agree with that too.
I can agree with that. And I mean, there's the promise, and then there's the process, and then there's the product, right? They shared what they were going to deliver. Uh, we saw what they planned to deliver. The news articles started coming out with things that sounded almost like outrageous. And then the product came out, and we're like, okay. And they weren't being delivered on time, and all that stuff. And bad branding for that, right? And even the individual that was presenting at most of the events, that tall, I don't know his name, Caucasian male, that used to be with EA at one point. And everyone was like, well, whenever he shows up, the product that's about to get launched doesn't do well. So I don't know why that's consistent with that particular individual. I don't know his name right now. I can't think of his name. But every time he announced a particular product, whether it was the Google Stadia, EA, or I don't know if he did a Microsoft thing at one point, every single time that he was the presenter that year or that season, the product that he was talking about marketing didn't do well. Something about that. That's not cool.
Okay. So these guys have some really good things. So, or it says I'm saying VR didn't come out hitting all the balls out of the park. They had problems at launch. But the thing is, like, I don't think you're kind of make those aren't really good comparisons, really. Nil Lane VR launch wasn't pretending to be a replacement for anything, though. That is 100% true. Aaron says xCloud lets you play your Xbox library, access Game Pass. Stadia is a new platform with no Steam, Origin, or Epic Store integration. And that's where it's going to hurt them because they're trying to create something that is just theirs and using only their economy and where you have to go and buy this and where you don't have that access. Right now, we can have like cross platform access to a lot of our things. Stadia is just by itself on its
Right.
own and it doesn't want to be a join the party with everybody
Were they
else.
trying to do the Steam library into that? I think they realized implement the Steam library in that. Didn't I
It
see that
would
somewhere?
be smart if they did. I stopped paying attention to Stadia
Steam.
because I was very unimpressed by what was happening in the people's experiences.
Steam code hints that Valve might be making a Stadia-like cloud. Steam on Stadia. Steam Cloud Gaming could be Valve's plan to challenge a Steam Stadia partnership. Could be like gamers. That would be good if they did that. That would help them a lot if they did that. We shall see.
It would be smart if they did, but Aaron brings up a very, very good point. You're rebuying your game library for Stadia, just like Ouya and other services that died. What happens if
Hmm.
Stadia dies? Nothing. Absolutely nothing happens. Like it doesn't affect personal players. Like it sucks to have to double dip onto something because you want to play it streaming it through your browser.
So that controller is compatible with PC also? Their controller?
Which one? Stadia's?
I don't recall.
I
Yeah.
have no idea.
Yeah.
I would assume so. I would have absolutely actually have to assume so.
Right.
But
So
Like if you're trying to create something that is fresh and new in a sense, you have to tie it into something that's already existing.
Right.
I know that sounds like really backwards on it, but you have to tie it to something that's familiar to the player base that you're trying to attract.
Right. The ecosystem, like
Yes.
PlayStation VR,
Mm-hmm.
the ecosystem was already there for Sony. Sony learned from their mistakes on PS3, right? Saying that, hey, if you can't afford it, that's you, right? Then they rebranded, got a new team, $3.99 for PlayStation 4. This is how you let your friend borrow your game, right? After Xbox messed up with all that stuff, and look what we got. A very, very good ecosystem. They released some good numbers during CES 2020 for the PlayStation stuff. People were late adopters of the PlayStation VR, but like you said, it was in addition to something that was familiar. And if they launched the VR during the PlayStation 3 era when it was bad, it wouldn't have done as well,
It would have
right?
been bad.
I think timing is everything.
Ruru, do you have a Stadia? Just curious.
Stadia.
But I'm more on
Mm-mm-mm-mm.
board, like seeing what Xbox is trying to do. Like I said, I don't really talk about I don't give Xbox enough kudos for what they do. But I am on board for the xCloud thing that they're trying to
Right.
to do. Like that is a bigger selling point and a bigger like more feasible and I see more success coming out of it than I will see for Stadia.
Mm.
Stadia is just they should have been working with the already existing ecosystem that was there.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's salvageable, I think. If they do the Steam partnership with that library being as huge as it is and the sales that they have on a regular basis, I think that they can recover to some degree if individuals want to go that route. And so it's not completely dead. I would not rebuy Destiny on there. Um,
Yeah, I mean, even
yeah.
let's just say the Oculus. It has the Oculus Store, which is separate from, and then I'm talking about the Oculus Quest here, which
Mm,
obviously doesn't have Steam in it. It doesn't have all those things in it, but the Oculus Store does give the option to be like, hey, you bought this on the store, and it's not all their games, but there's I think eventually it will be like, hey, you can here's a voucher that you can play it on Steam as well. So if you have the
mm,
link cable, you can play it on Steam, and you can hook up your link cable to your Oculus Quest and play it on your PC as well. And then same thing goes like if I buy it on the Oculus Quest store, there's I guess what you could say cross-platform play, which I can also play it for my Rift, which does need my PC, and it'll be available on there as well.
mm.
So they implemented something new using something they already had, and then you have the concerns people like, well, I don't want to double dip. And the thing is, with the link cable, you can still play your Steam games on your Oculus Quest. So you don't have to. You don't have to
Mm.
buy a game twice.
Indeed. Yeah.
Um,
So
I
yeah.
Joe says I like Reggie Watts as much as the next guy, but had Google spend that Game Awards money towards their library, may have gone better for them. Those ads were trippy. Those ads were just something else.
Mm.
That was just something else. I'm not trying to compare it to Stadia, Ruru, just comparing it to bringing out something new and introducing something new.
Yeah, and I think even now for the price, you can get so much, right?
I get a lot.
For
I get a lot of my
yeah.
stuff. Yeah, it's a
And what I
huge
mean by
price
that
point.
is the building a PC now. It doesn't have to be astronomical in price, which I think is amazing, right?
Hmm.
For individuals who are doing that, and I'm so happy that I went that route now. And in terms of doing Oculus or anything like that, I'm not necessarily interested in VR right now, but the fact that you can do a decent PC for anywhere between, I would say, 400 to 600. I think that's pretty good.
And to just go off one more time with Joe, if they would have put that into their library for Stadia, it would have been a whole lot better. Right now, like there isn't a whole lot that Stadia I feel offers. Like they have an okay library,
Well, Assassin's
but
Creed,
like
Destiny. What else?
I don't know.
That's what
Like
I'm saying.
I
That's all
think
I
it's a
remember.
very short library.
Yeah. Yeah. So hopefully they recover. I guess really at the end of the day is really I hope they recover because I love a lot of Google stuff and even the companies that they've purchased, right? Like YouTube.
Mm.
So
So Stadia's Premier Edition, $129. You have Assassin's Creed Odyssey, Attack on Titan 2, Baldur's Gate 3, Borderlands 3, Cyberpunk 2077, Doom Eternal, Doom, Destiny, Destroy All Humans, Destiny 2, Darksiders
destroy
Genesis,
humans.
Dragon Ball 2 Xenoverse. Like they have a decent amount of games, but it's still a very, very small library for a launch.
Right. American Prices and Games. Where are you,
I'm
Elmo?
sorry.
Where's Elmo?
I'm sorry, Elmo.
Where's Elmo? Destiny
Australia?
community on Stadia is dead.
Oh my god, Elmo's gonna hate me for this. I'm pretty
Tens
sure
of
it's
people.
Australia.
Mm.
Yeah, see, yes, I remembered. I
Ah,
remembered. I said that with
Australia.
like uncertainty.
Word. So yeah. So there's hope, right? I believe.
You can believe. I'm not convinced. For me personally, I'm not convinced.
I believe.
But I
I
can see
believe.
why
What else?
Ruru would
Go
want
ahead.
it to stick around, though. He says,
Mm-hmm.
I want to stay to be around because I don't want Xbox to be the only game in town for cloud gaming, which creates a monopoly. Yeah,
Indeed.
you want that competition. But if Xbox comes out with one, Sony will come out with one. Sony comes out with them, then the PC version would be out there and it'd be from Steam. Somebody. Duopolies aren't much better than monopolies.
Hmm. Hmm. All right. So what else we got? We covered most of this stuff. Great questions in chat. Thank you so much for that. Giving us a lot to think about. Um, we really appreciate you taking the time to share your thoughts, which means a lot. Which means a lot. Amazon getting into game dev.
Well, actually, we did talk. We did talk about that. Breakaway came from Amazon. So original Breakaway, where I have so much hard feelings. Helene has so much personal hard feelings. But yeah, me and Helene are very versed in
Hmm.
the games that Amazon's coming out with. One of which they recently announced at the Game Awards, which is not Crucible, New World, New World. I'm not even sure if I'm allowed to say the name of the other one. No, I can. It's on top of their Amazon store, Crucible. Yes, this is very, very
Crucible.
broken. And they also took on, I guess, they are co-developing Lord of the Rings as well too. And the thing is, there's also a few other games that uh, neither one of us, by neither Nihilane or I, they have worked on and has
Mm-hmm.
actually been canceled. So,
Mm.
and that we actually got to try and experience. So Amazon is trying. They're trying their hardest to get into it. And Breakaway I think was the closest right now. Well, no. Now New World is going to be the closest, in which I think I mentioned during my stream of watching the Game Awards, is that I was actually surprised that that was for New World, because the trailer that they played, I was like, "Oh, this game looks amazing." And then they said New World. I'm like, "That's New World. That doesn't look like the New World I'm playing." But that looks cool. We shall
Mm.
see. Um, and then they have Crucible, which they have announced before, which has the potential to be there. But yes, Breakaway did have the most potential, and they had terrible marketing, and they ran out of money, and then the team kind of parted ways. They just buy smaller companies in the space.
Mm.
They actually kind of do, but the problem is that they get nervous about what the direction they're going to be taking in, because with Crucible, I'm under NDA. I can't say too much about that. So, Crucible had a very, very unique way of jumping into it, but I think they have taken so long to come out with it that it's kind of morphed into something that's more familiar with the current player base that is out there and associated to certain genres. But they actually do a lot of amazing things, and uh, it's just their execution of it
Mm.
is what's really what's lacking. And that's where I come with the experience of saying, like, having those devs having too much of a relationship with the player base really affects the way the game is.
Okay.
Yes, it doesn't see the
Um,
light of day.
Witcher. What do
I
you
haven't
think?
watched it yet. I have not watched it yet.
Okay. Do you want more Witcher stuff, even though you didn't watch the current stuff that's out?
Um, yes, I think.
Okay.
I
Good.
think I
Good.
know
Good.
that
Good.
I know that the Witcher game series overall is just amazing. It has a huge story that is incredibly loved, and that type of era, that type of look, I absolutely adore. There's no reason why we haven't watched it yet, which is
Mm.
funny enough, my boyfriend just came home from work, and I'm waiting for him to have time to watch it with me, basically, is what it is. But I have played Toss a Coin at Your Witcher on Beat Saber.
Mm.
Uh, so
Okay.
that's where I'm at.
So there's that. Still haven't watched it yet, but looking forward to doing that soon as well. Next thing we have is Disintegration Beta that hits next week. I'm kind of excited about that.
Almost says, watch DJ,
Hmm.
watch on your own so you can eyeball Henry alone on Witcher.
So the Witcher
Um,
stuff.
yeah, I signed up for the Disintegration beta though. I did. I hope I get in. I want to.
Mm.
I really do. Um, because it looks really cool. It looks like fun. Did you get in? Did you sign up for it?
I signed up for it, and I'm waiting to see if I got in. So, but I'm really looking forward to it. So hopefully, I'm able to check that out. Uh, what is your go-to way to debut a product or game? Shadow Drop Apex, long-term content drops, Death Stranding, teasing via social. I think that traditional marketing still works, right? I like how they're introducing Project A from Riot Games. You get a video, they kind of talk about it, give you some concepts, and say, hey, we're going to go dark a little bit, but definitely enjoy the current things that we have on the market, but just know that we're working on this thing and that thing. And I think that's great. And I think that when you're ready to talk about a particular project, uh, 5-minute video here, 10-minute video there is great as long as you're delivering on the promise. I think that's key. As long as you're delivering on a promise, that's great. Even when we think a game like Hellblade advertised itself as a 20-person, almost like a AAA type game, if I remember correctly. There's 20 people there. They shared some videos here and there, and they set the expectations up front. We were not surprised at what we got. Some individuals were not completely clear on what the game was going to be until they realized that it was a mental health a game as well as hack and slash, right, Daniela? Because I know you played that to some degree. And so I like the fact that if you set the expectations up front, then the individuals who are going to get that won't be disappointed.
So
Peace, Nalane.
for me,
Peace.
I
Yeah.
gotta agree with Elmo. I kind of like what Cyberpunk does. Um, even though it's been a really long time for me. Like, you guys have no idea. I've been waiting. I saw their trailer in 2013. In
Right.
2013, I didn't look at their 2013 trailer in 2018. Here, I saw it in 2013, and I'm like, wow, this looks sick. I like this little teaser trailer. And
Right.
every 6 months, I would like Google up Cyberpunk and see if there's an update, and there'd be nothing. but that
Right.
trailer stuck with me. So when they finally did drop something, whoo, whoo, and you knew how I felt. I needed to get in
Yeah.
there. um,
Absolutely.
but I kind of like that, and the reason why I like that, and I like maybe not necessarily 7 years, or yeah, that's a long time. But
Yeah.
at least you know that from this time point they've been working on this game, and they're trying to create this best experience that they possibly can, which is funny to say because they have, like, we've gotten delay after delay after delay from all these games this month. And sadly, Cyberpunk happens to be in that list of it being delayed. For
Mm-hmm.
me,
Dying Light 2.
I waited 7 years. 5 months is nothing. And of those 7 years, about 4 or 5 of them was like silence. Like they didn't let anything out. Um, and for Final Fantasy 15, yeah, but they had a lot of content from Final Fantasy in the world in general before 15 came out.
Mm.
So it didn't feel that long. But I like what they're doing. I like what they put out. They dropped out this teaser thing and they just went dead silent. And when they dropped and how they did it, I thought was just amazing, which I think is kind of like a mixture of like a long wait marketing, the long game there, and mixed with like, let's just drop this on them,
Right.
kind of like what Apex did. And I like that. I don't like marketing or advertising in which, like, hey, we're going to announce this. Our game comes out in about a year, and you're just having nonstop, like, a year straight of all of this marketing that's coming at you. Like, that doesn't get me hyped. That doesn't get me interested. That just makes me just feel like really drowned in it, and it turns me away from it. Hey, Ray, what's up, man?
Ray, what's up, man?
Ray is some good people right there
Good to see
too.
you, man.
Um, and
What's up, Gutter?
I just like having that, like, a little bit of delay. I like having it where it's just like it's not enough time for you to lose interest, or it is like whatever your trailer that you're dropping is just so good that it like imprints into your mind and memory that you don't forget about it, or it's
Right.
just enough in between time where, like, oh yeah, that game. You see something new, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm like hyped about it again. I like it. And Aaron says Apex was the best case scenario, just like that shadow drop like there, just kind of like Eminem just
Right.
dropped this album on you.
Aren't they teasing a new Batman? Thing like that? A new something related to the Batman universe? I think they were teasing a logo, like official badge of sorts, in the last couple of weeks. So I don't mind that. I think that's great.
Little teasers there.
I think that's great.
That's Warner Brothers.
And
Um,
soon, what do we have coming up? We have PAX coming up, right? And then that's March, February, March. We have E3, and then we have June, July. Then you have what's the other one? I can't think of the name. The one in August. Gamescom,
oh yeah,
right?
Gamescom, and then right after that is PAX again.
Right. So we got a couple of things, a couple of shows to do those things. So it's as long as it's done well. We know when it's done well because it's on the graph you see when people are like concerned about it, so the graph goes down a little bit, then they drop a trailer and it goes back up, right? So we're riding a wave of great marketing until they decide to release the product. Something was said about Project A, still a long way to go. Do we know that for sure? Did they say that? Because I don't necessarily like to if they said they have a long way to go, I don't know. We don't know. Do we?
But
That's the
the thing
question.
is, it's coming from Riot Games, which is kind of like almost unheard of. For
Right. So we
them
don't know.
jumping into this thing and expanding on their actual S of their title there, right? Games.
Right.
Um,
Unless they said they have a long way to go for this particular project. And the video on their website shows that it looks really good.
Yeah, I
So
can't
we're
go
excited
off of
about that.
websites anymore like that because they're going back to Amazon Games. Amazon Games had their 3 games on top of there, and they all looked really, really good. And guess what? It still got canceled.
So all right, so yeah, let's build on that. So do you think, based on what you just said, that that Project A may be something that they would cancel?
No,
Or
no.
okay,
I think when it
fair
comes
enough.
down to Riot Games, they have the long-standing history, and I honestly don't think they would have made it such a big showcase as they did for everything that they're going to be diving into if they
Mm-hmm.
didn't feel confident about it. And that's what I feel. Um,
Okay,
I can't compare Riot Games to Amazon Games. I cannot. I will never do that to between two studios because they're different people working on these different projects and the way that they're approaching it, the way that they approach it
right,
in marketing and in terms of developing, it's vastly different.
right,
Um,
and it's safe to say that they both have big budgets, right?
yeah,
Okay,
and I think what Riot did when they announced all these projects they're working on, I think I kind of like that too. I kind of like that. Like, hey, saw these little bit of links, but you know what? We have so much more. We're going to show you the entire world of Riot Games here. And things that you
right,
would not have thought that they would be working on or considering they are. And you got this hype for it. Their fan base, their player base is stoked to be expanding on top of
huge,
something that they've like invested so much time and money into already into the studio. So if even if Project A is quite a whiles away, I mean it's okay. I mean Riot Games hasn't come out with literally anything else other than their one game, so
right.
it's all right. It is all right.
So do they still have controversy surrounding them, or are they okay now? Was it Riot?
I'm sure they probably have some, but the fact is they
Yeah,
kind of
right,
deflected it in terms
right.
of like, here's everything that we're doing, and people are focusing on that.
Okay, that's fair.
They're competing with Overwatch. They know what they're doing. They do. Joe says Rockstar does marketing differently. 6 months to launch, they showed a 8-minute clip of systems and environments, mechanics of Red Dead Redemption 2. Also, Rockstar is kind of one of those people who just do what they want to do, and people love it. Like, how long can you get a single game going for so long? That's just Grand Theft Auto. I'm so sick of Grand Theft Auto.
Hmm.
But
Yeah, but the options. Go ahead.
they have those different options, and Rockstar is just that. They're rock stars. They can they I feel like
So
they can just do anything.
right, so that's considered a hero shooter, right? That game,
What?
Project A. It looks like a hero shooter, right?
Yeah, somewhat.
Like a
Uh
Paladins, like an Overwatch,
yeah.
like a Team Fortress, maybe,
Yeah.
maybe. Okay,
There's abilities in that.
okay. It looks good. I mean, I'll check it out. Looks good. It looks really good. What else we got?
They made a pink and king count. Yes. That's why I said they're just doing their own thing.
Bad Boys.
What you gonna do?
What you gonna do, Daniela?
I haven't watched it yet.
All right. So I've seen it twice. Um, it's fantastic.
That's your
Yeah,
whole
because I'm not
review
gonna
on it.
spoil it for you.
Okay, that's good.
I'm not
I
gonna
have to
spoil it
make
for
sure
you.
that my boyfriend's watched the previous Bad Boys. I'm pretty sure he did. I'm hoping
Yeah,
he did.
if you can do that before going to see it.
Yeah, that's what I want to do. I want to watch it. I
Yeah,
know my son has watched the previous Bad Boys. I have to make sure that my boyfriend
yeah.
has before we go and do it because there's some things I thought he watched and he's never watched. I was like amazed he didn't know who Dolly Parton was.
Mm.
I'm like, there's some actors like he doesn't know who they are. I'm like, what? Who are you?
Definitely. Yeah. See the first two if you can. Uh, it's a great movie. It's a great movie.
They're
And
great partners. just having
They are.
both of them on the screen, it's just awesome. It's just kind of like as much as happy as I get watching The Rock and Kevin Hart together on the scene. So
Yeah. So
I
highly recommended.
might have some higher
It's
expectations out of it.
you that's it. That's action, crime, comedy. So if you like that genre, that's what that falls under. What's happening here? That part is more 70s, 90s. Uh okay, yeah. Bad
Guru,
Boys,
I'm from
definitely check
Hawaii
out.
and I know Dolly Parton. My boyfriend is from Philadelphia.
Hmm.
So,
What else we got? We got anything else for
oh,
topics? I think we covered okay, Parchimar, we got Kojima Productions, right?
yes.
So we didn't hit that. Kojima Productions, anime, manga, and smaller games. Surprised?
Maybe a little bit, but I'm
Okay.
excited. Kojima is
Okay.
somebody it will take like a big screw up for me to ever be convinced that Kojima could ever do anything wrong. I know that puts him
Mm,
on such a ridiculously high platform, but um yeah, this man to me can just do no wrong.
yeah. He's really good.
Smaller
Great
games, I like
mind,
the
right?
idea of smaller games. So, I wonder what that means. He's just like at this point, I feel like after Konami, he's pretty much like he's working, but he's in like retirement mode. So like when you
Right.
retire, where you just like, I'm just gonna do whatever I want because nobody's going to tell me no. That's what
Right.
I feel like
Freedom.
he's
Yeah.
at. He's like, I'm just gonna do whatever I want. If it's great, great. If it's not, still great.
Yeah. The freedom to create is definitely there. Rejuvenation of ideas and all that good stuff. I'm really excited to see what comes next. So yeah. I don't remember if it was recent news or ago. Most of the Studio Ghibli movies are available um, to get separately from wherever they were. I don't know if they were in somewhere or they weren't readily available,
They were
but
not
it seems like
available
they're
for streaming online.
okay. Yeah, so that was a thing. Yeah, I remember seeing that somewhere.
But now, so Netflix outside with exceptions to I believe Japan, Canada, and the U.S. So Netflix everywhere else except for those three countries, you can stream all of the Studio Ghibli like
Mm.
library there, which is awesome. And I believe later on this year, to be able to stream the Studio Ghibli collection, it will be on HBO Max.
Mm. Okay.
So it'll be available eventually, but it's really sad that it's not going to be available on Netflix in the U.S., Canada. I'm not too
Mm-hmm.
concerned about Japan. Like you guys got to hold up. I'm sure you probably have it somewhere.
Mm.
But
HBO has the NA streaming rights for Ghibli.
yeah, as I just said, so it'll be available on HBO
Mm.
Max.
Okay. Um. Okay. So, are there any other directors in game? I don't know. Cage, as you mentioned, Joe, is the next one I would think of. I don't know if there's anyone in particular, huh? Outside of those two awesome people.
I got the Nino Kuni movie. That actually is on Netflix, but like the studio one's there. None come to my mind, to be honest. Yeah, maybe David Cage, but
Hmm.
I don't know. I don't know if I can put any on that same level as Kojima.
Mm-hmm. Composers I think of, like Hans Zimmer has done a lot of things for the COD series and stuff like that. Um, he's done Gladiator and some other amazing. So Corey, right, for God of War. This is true. This is true. Um, so yeah, there's some dope games out there, dope experiences. I don't know who did what do you call that game? It's a platformer.
When
Ori and the Blind Forest. I don't know who did that. I love that game.
Cliff Blazinski, he
Oh, Cliff, yeah,
yeah,
Cliffy B.
so he like let out after his last failed game, not
Rob
Lawbreakers,
Ferguson.
not
Go ahead.
not Lawbreakers, but the battle royale he came out with, the one of the 80s.
With the bikes, with the
Yeah,
BMX thing.
I can't
Yeah.
remember the name of that game. But after that, like, just failed, and he just like, all right, we're done. He released like all the different images of the different games that he was trying to get funding for,
Mm-hmm.
and the creative ideas that behind it, and what he was proposing. I so wish that he found the funding for some of those games, because
Mm.
the design behind it, the theory, the story looked so good.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, I want to play that. I want to experience it. But it's just
Mm.
like, ugh. I was kind of bummed about it.
Miyamoto.
Cliffy B pissed off too many people. Cliffy B is just going to be Cliffy B. I mean, he had a very rough personality and his way of working, but the man was at the same time, you can't hate on the ideas that this man had at the same time.
Yeah, he's definitely contributed to games that we love today, and he inspired other creators, which you gotta give him credit for that. Rob Ferguson doing this stuff with the Coalition, which is great. Gears 5 is amazing, so definitely give credit where credit is due for these games.
Mm-hmm.
What else we got? I think we caught up.
Yeah.
Anything else?
No.
I think we caught up.
For the most part, yeah.
All right, so final couple of minutes, I guess, before we start wrapping. You guys have any additional thoughts before? Lawbreakers was dope. Can we still get that anywhere? Or the servers were shut down, right?
Yeah, the servers were shut down.
Yeah.
Rumors talked about horror films, the new stuff you just read. I would so be down for a Kojima horror film.
Mm.
Somebody posted about how you can re-download a PT again.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, oh, man, I wish he could have finished PT. But if he turns it into a movie, even better.
Yeah, I'd be scared. I probably wouldn't watch it. I'll probably ask you about it. Dreams, I think, is amazing what they're doing. The creativity in that, if I'm thinking about the same thing that you're asking about, where you can create within that world,
Mm-hmm.
that sandbox, I think they're doing beautiful things over there. Yeah, I think that's about it. Anything else? How you doing,
Media.
Daniel, over there? How you feeling over there?
So as a little behind the scenes thing here, me and Andrew's like, okay, we'll record for an hour today.
Don't start.
We'll just be an hour. We won't dive
I don't
into
even
it
know
because we
what
a
time
personal
we're
thing.
at right now.
And he says like an hour. I'm not
I
complaining. I'm
don't
not
think...
complaining. I think it's funny because every single time, that's like the one consistent thing about us is like, today's going to be quick. Today's topics are short. We're just going to hit this. It's going to be an hour. And then just like, SpongeBob over here. 3
uptime is not even a
hours
command.
later.
Uptime is not even a command. How long have we been on here?
2.5 hours.
Really?
Yeah. It doesn't feel like it, right?
We
We
gotta
just
put
like we just
uptime in
jump
there.
right into the flow of these things. But then again, you guys asked some really great questions, so thank you so much for that.
Yeah, it gave us more to think about. Oh, no problem, Joe. No problem. So yeah, I didn't think we were gonna go 2 hours, but it's all good. Yeah. Uh, I miss talking to Daniela. I do. When we have long spurts of nothing, it's
Heartbreaking.
it's weird. It's really weird.
And
So this was good.
thank you, Elmo. I've never seen you guys quick, but it's awesome as it feels so organic. It is. We try not to actually. I think just before we went live, Andrew put together the list of things we're going to talk about. So like, it's not too much thought that's put into it. So we aren't trying to create unorganic or false conversations. Like, you just don't think about it. Just like whatever that you're feeling in that moment, that's what you're getting. So there it is.
Which is great because with the stuff that happens in chat, we there's no way for us to prepare for that, which is good. So yeah, I'm
like
good.
one last thing. Ruru says there are so many female gamers introduced to first person shooters for the first time playing Overwatch. How old? Because there's a demographic you gotta ask about these female ones, because let's see.
I got one more thing.
My first experience of a first person shooter was actually Turok, and
Dinosaur Hunter.
yeah, it was Turok 007, GoldenEye, and
Yeah.
then I know there was one more too. That was all in the N64. After that, I played CS:GO. I don't remember what build, and I was playing CS:GO in high school, beginning of high school, and that was like in '98. And then everybody that I know now that plays Overwatch started off with CS:GO.
Right. Okay.
We are old, Elmo. We are old, okay?
So I got one more thing.
Okay, what's up?
Streamers who are entitled. Can you talk about that before we close?
Oh my god, why you gotta ask me about that one? There's a lot of streamers that are entitled.
Because it's
There's
fun.
a lot. There's a lot. What do you want to know about them? They're stuck up, they're snobby, they're self-entitled. They feel like they deserve everything. And I actually, the thing is what, when you follow a bunch of streamers, on Twitter,
Daniela,
you pretty much get streamer Twitter over here, and you see the same video, the same complaint, the same everything being posted about don't do this, and they're all really trying to just build off of clout here. Let's just get that straight. So the first person who posted it probably had a genuine message to it, and then everybody else that saw it and like, oh yeah, that's good. We're going to build off of this clout here and complain about all these things. Okay, are their complaints valid? Probably. But here's the thing. Is XYZ streamer who did XYZ terrible thing hurting you? Is it hurting you? Does it hurt your demographic? No, I'm not. I don't remember the streamer's name, but something about she complained because she was live and nobody wanted to sub to her or something like that.
Oh,
like,
so
I'm
we are
giving you content. Oh, I made comment. You should deserve to sub to me. Look, if that's whatever she wants to do, because obviously everybody's talking about her. First of all, she did the right thing there because everybody's talking about her, everybody's complaining about her, and there's some people that's going to go and check her out. There's going to be people who like the content that she makes after checking her out. They're going to follow her, they're going to sub to her. So what she did, smart. But the people who are complaining about it, like really, I mean, it's just as much of complaining about, booby streamers or whatever streamers or the guys that get a stream with no shirt on. It's if it doesn't affect you, like, oh, okay, so booby streamers are stealing my viewers. Is that really your demographic? I mean, is that the type of people that you want to attract to your stream? If it's not, who cares? It doesn't matter. Like, I don't care. That's for me. You're not like, there's so much big pool. There's such a big pool of people of viewers. And they all like different things. Even if like majority of the people who come and watch me do like watching, what is classified as booby streamers. I hate that term.
Why do you hate that term?
I don't care because it's just so demeaning. Like, who cares if she has so much more? She shows 80% cleavage. I really don't. And if some of my communities like to watch that, that's fine. That's up to them if they want to watch it. I'm not going to go and tell them or shame them for it. If they get something out of that type of streamer, that's for them. And then they get something completely different out of me, that's for them as well too. It's kind of like liking different type of TV shows. Like, you're not going to have like the cast of Friends being upset because you also like to watch Law and Order. Like, I don't understand. And I really, really hate those things where people feel like they can just sit there and complain and whatever it is. If people are going to make the content they want to make, they're going to do whatever ridiculous thing to get that attention. Like, Lol Tyler was possibly known as one of the most toxic streamers out there. Yes, bad press is good press. But with like Lil Tyler, he is notorious for being the most rage-inducing, toxic streamer out there, and people liked it. People tuned in. People did all this stuff, and he's really, really famous for that.
Mm.
I'm not gonna be mad because there's some people who want to watch him rage, and I'm not willing to do that or put on that show. I just really don't. Like, if people want to tune in, first of all, if you're streaming, and I don't know how many different times I have to say this, if you're streaming just to make money, you're doing it all wrong. Just don't. Like, just don't. Like I said, your contrary brings views. Yes, those are the top two people to even mention about that. So people who feel self-entitled streamers because like, oh, I think there was another post and it was from some PR person online, which I think she got a message about like, hey, you've never given me a game, even though like I only get 10 concurrent viewers. Those
This is
10 would have
recent?
bought, yeah, these 10 would have bought your game, and this is what you're missing out on because you didn't give me this. I'm like, there's a reason why there's these restrictions. Like sometimes there you will come across like that PR person who doesn't care about your numbers and just wants to give it to good people. But they also have bosses and people that they got to answer
Report
to
to.
that
Mm-hmm.
requires this because it is their job to get their game out there to whoever has a big enough audience to get their eyes on it. And it's just ridiculous. If you don't get it, you don't get it. And if you don't get this viewer, it's fine too. It's probably not the type of viewer that you want. And if you're just doing it for subs, I mean, that's ridiculous. That's the most inconsistent money that you can get. Like you'll probably have a higher and better chance of becoming a YouTuber and having a somewhat stable income than you do on Twitch.
That's fair. Which is why, it is encouraged to create content there.
And the thing is like people like Ninja who, claim what 500,000 plus every month for whatever income from their different things, still uses like he can go on vacation or whatever, not necessarily vacation, but he can be hosting an event and he can lose 10, 20, 100,000 subs on Mixer or on Twitch when he was on Twitch. But his stable income that most of his income's coming up from is YouTube. So that says a lot right there. Like it hurts to lose that many subs in a single like 2-3 day time frame that he's away from, but he also has YouTube to make up a bit of that money. So if your whole weird thing is go invest time into making YouTube videos, go and supplement your income elsewhere. I'm just like hitting my mic here, talking with my hands. Yeah, that's where I'm at. Unless that's the type, I don't really associate myself with those type of streamers. Like, love what you do. Like, don't. It's nice to make money, but just like it's not going to replace a 9 to 5.
Yeah. So when I spoke to Tom Oley from Evolve PR, numbers are part of it, but sometimes they don't even play a part in it, right? And I have that convo on YouTube. He says, hey, it's just about how you carry yourself, and if you're kind, if you're nice, if your social media is something to be desired, if it's positive, it's not just the numbers, which was eye-opening for me because I always thought it was about that. But some PR companies are willing to take the chance on some streamers, especially if you have a steady flow of content coming out and it's not once in a blue moon that you're actually on your platform or live, I should say. Secondly, it's not your platform because you're using somebody else's for visibility. That's a whole nother thing. But it's more than that. And I think that should be encouraging for anybody starting out, for the first time. in their streaming journey.
It takes a while for you to realize if you're cut out to be a streamer or not. And I think
Yeah.
everybody, I get the impression, and I want somebody to tell me I'm wrong about this. I get the impression that like the current streamers now are only seeing it for money only. Whereas if you, I'm not saying all of them, but I want to say that majority that I see that are jumping into the streaming, whatever platform it may be, it doesn't matter. Facebook, Mixer, Twitch, D Live, Caffeine, YouTube. They just see it for just money, money only. Oh yeah, okay, Ninja does this. Shroud does that. They make all this money. Da 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 da.
So
But
it's a fine line, right?
it is. But I feel like the ones that jumped in way early on, like I want to say anything pre 2016,
Mm-hmm.
did it because this looks like fun. Let's just go and do this. I don't know what's going to happen. Let's just do this for fun.
Hmm.
And amazingly, a lot of them have pre-pub DJs. Yeah, that's pre 2016. It's just like they found a lot of success just doing it because this seems like fun, and then they turned it into a business. Not like I'm starting it off straight as a business and I'm gonna go and make millions of dollars. No.
So I have a new perspective for Twitch.
I hate that hashtag too, road to partner. But okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I have a new perspective for Twitch. And I think that I kind of got lost on expectations and what individuals have shared with me on how I should look at the platform. So right now for me, I spend some time on YouTube and creating content there, trying to add value. Let me rephrase that. Adding value wherever I can on a platform, and looking to do the same thing for Twitch, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I'm adding value, then the people will come, right? Whether that's value in entertainment, conversation, or whatever the case might be for the live platform, right? If the person feels valued, they'll come back.
Yep.
That's how I'm thinking about it. Aside from everything else that I've been hearing about the platforms, whether that's YouTube or Twitch, if the value is there, they'll come. If they feel valued, they'll come back. And that's how I'm thinking about it now. So whether I'm doing, Twitch stuff or YouTube stuff, and anything that I believe will somebody can benefit from. So my intention is to create content that I believe that people will benefit from. And as long as I'm doing that, I think over time it will compound into something great.
See, I have a very very skewed vision of Twitch. Most of it is toxic. But I will say, a lot of people don't like Facebook gaming. Just because it's a new platform, obviously, because sometimes their platform is a bit of a mess. But since having my boyfriend Gutter on Facebook and him growing a community there, it's a very different mindset. It's a very different mindset compared to all the other platforms, because you're on Facebook, in which it's very like you can't hide. You can create as many. You can obviously you can go create a fake Facebook account, but you can't hide who you are. Your name is there. Like you can hide so much of your privacy on top of your own profile, which I feel leads to people being a little bit more honest, a little bit more true to themselves. And I've loved how my boyfriend has kind of built his community, and the people that he's gotten to meet and can play games with. They're so much more positive and welcoming and supportive than on any of the platforms. And we've got to meet a few of them. I would love to meet all of his supporters and his Gutterflies community, because it just like they share their day, they share their lives, and you can do that on Twitch too. But you also have that opportunity to be so incredibly incognito about it too, because you have like this hidden, yeah, no anonymity. You have this profile that you created that you can have this persona, whereas people on Facebook, like that is who they are. That is their families. That is their friends. And, you know, you get to know a streamer almost like in the same way. And, you know, my boyfriend has gotten to know people, and I won't necessarily say out names, but it's like so incredibly heartwarming to, like, you know, they want to share about, you know, what their family is going through, if their family has been in the hospital, or if like, you know, that my kid loves watching you. He tries to be as PG friendly as possible because a lot of these people are um getting to know you on a family friendly website that they have with their kids, or they're just getting experience of what streaming is like, because it's amazing how many people on Facebook don't even really know what Twitch is or what Mixer is. So they're watching it with their kids because, like, oh, look, this Fortnite streamer, let's go and watch what they're doing and see what my kid is, because Facebook is a platform that they understand. Well, that's where you have to also make sure that you have the correct privacy settings on Facebook, which I highly suggest everybody go through Facebook and go through your privacy settings. Um, and that's really cool. And I still get that feeling on Twitch within my own community, and I love them for that. But I feel like it's so much harder. Like, what? Yeah, I like close knit communities too. I really do. I put so much more value in close knit communities than having, like, oh, my community of like over 100,000 people, where you almost don't know any of them. But I feel like what Facebook has right now is kind of the feeling that I remember having when I started on Twitch. That now Twitch is a little bit toxic in its own world by itself.
Okay. So grab Elmo's comment and we'll begin wrapping up.
Okay, Elmo says, I am old school in my thoughts for streaming sites. I know they are business, but I still see it as a place for gamers to go and share their passion together, as I was looked down on and spoken about quietly. Now it is mainstream as soap opera, so you see people jumping on the money wagon. Yep, pretty much. And the thing is, there's still that stigma. It's like, oh, you play video games? How old are you? Like, it doesn't matter how old I am. I like video games. Get out of my face.
Things have changed.
Yeah, they are. And people just see it as, which there is a fine balance, because now this generation, my son's generation and younger, can tell their parents, and at least their parents should at least understand to some point, like, gaming is not a waste of time. If you have that business mindset and know how to market yourself and your brand of yourself, oh yeah, you can be incredibly successful. It's not a waste of time. And now you can justify that. Whereas when, we were kids, like, oh, your brain's going to turn too much. Your eyes are going to turn into squares because you stare at the TV so long. You're going to go blind. Like, it's a lot easier to justify, which is great, because you're giving kids even more options of what they can do in their career. And there's ways to be creative about that too. But that's how I feel. But we appreciate you guys being here, hanging out with us, chatting, asking amazing questions. We appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Love it. So you got anything you need to promote there, Andrew?
Yeah, a couple of things. So YouTube is where I'm journeying on to create content, right? And that's been very, very interesting and fun. I have one video on there talking about the best apps for content creation that are free. So I definitely say check that out. If you like the content, please like, subscribe, make sure you follow, all that fun stuff.
You gotta do your YouTuber voice.
Huh?
You gotta do the YouTuber voice.
I don't have one. I try to be normal on YouTube.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that. Wait for that day where Andrew comes out with that YouTuber voice. Hey guys,
what
Andrew
is up, guys?
here.
My name is Uriah.
before we jump into it, make sure you comment, like, and subscribe.
I don't,
Yeah, right
I
there.
don't
Like
do
that.
that.
That's like
Those that intro, yeah, no, I don't do that. But definitely check that out. I'm looking forward to creating more content that adds value there. The other thing is twitch.tv/Uriah. So that is, let me see if I can put that in the chat. /Twitch. I can't spell.
smash that like button
Yeah.
and ring that notification bell.
I think that's right. Yeah. So I'm there. We'd love to see you guys there if you guys ever, browsing Twitch and I'm on playing some looter shooter of some sorts. Daniela, you are at twitch.tv/Miss DJM. Right. So I'm going to put that in the chat as well. And anything else that you got going on, Daniela?
No.
Miss
Not at all.
DJM. Bam. So yeah. And of course the Patreon, which I'm doing some stuff there that is I think that's tied to my Twitter as well. So Twitter's the same name. If you're on Twitter, definitely shout out and we can have conversations, and all my other stuff is linked there. Anything else, Danielle?
No, that's all I got. I got nothing else more to add on to that. Been a great episode. I missed you guys. I hope you guys had a great new year. Going into 2020, everybody, everything that you're working on, your goals work out great. Never give up. All those other good, positive things.
Never give in.
Here. But thank you for joining us for episode 520. Isn't that perfect? 2020 is starting off with episode 520. It's like the perfect timing there. For everything that we talked about, we're obviously going to have our VOD here as well too, and then we will be uploading it to all your favorite podcatchers as well. You can check those all out on the website at www.theshowradio.info. And like Andrew said, on top of all of our links, here you can also find all of our info at streamerlinks.com/Uriah, URIYYA, and mine, streamerlinks.com/Miss DJM. Yes, we paid our respects to Kobe Bryant beginning in the top of the
so sad, man.
Top of the show here. It's very sad, very, very surprising thing. But thank you all for joining us, and until next time, have a great week. We'll catch you later.
Peace.
Bye, guys.